All right, welcome into episode 41 of the War Room. We've got a good one tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty highly anticipated. As with any shows that happen out there, there's all kinds of things to talk about that a lot of people generally probably don't talk about. So there is definitely opinions on both sides and stuff we want to discuss, and we want to bring the players on that were kind of in the mud here to talk about it. But first off, I want to give a huge shout out to Robbie and Andrew and all the guys that made the show happen because I mean, Brian, we know what it's like to put on these shows and the risk that you take to take on Freedom Hall with all the stigmas that come with Freedom Hall, right? The track is going to be terrible. It's hard to load cars in and out, all those things, right? To take on all that and get it right in just a short couple months, pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. We went down there, and I didn't know what to expect. I'd seen prior shows that had happened there. Familiar with the issues that they had in the past. I had never personally been there before. Very impressive facility. And then to show up and kind of just see, Robbie and Andrew in the Twisted Metal Motorsports group, really had a really professional setup going on, the inspection line, where the cars were being staged and all that. It was just a really, really well thought out preparation for all those things at the event. So very impressive for those guys to get it done in the amount of time that they did. And like you said, putting these events on is a tall task for anybody. How long you've been around or not, it doesn't matter. Each event presents its own unique challenges, and I'm sure Robbie and Andrew definitely faced several of those and were able to overcome them. So, very impressed with what we saw.
Yeah, we'll get into the show just a little bit more. Just so you guys that are tuning in, what we've got coming up, we got Matthew Sims, who was the driver of the Raffle car. And so we got a lot to talk about there, right? We get to hear that side of the story. And then we'll bring Robbie and Andrew on a little bit later and talk a little bit about maybe some things behind the scenes that not everybody gets to see, and all that stuff. So first off, I want to let everyone know we're sending out our memberships, our first membership packets this week. So here's the t-shirt that goes out with that. We got a new sticker pack. All right, you're going to get that. You got your actual membership. Let me cover up that, but your membership ID, got a real cool picture on the back from Bristol Demo 3. And then we will get a nice little flyer in there for the low car steering wheels. Guys, if you don't know about these steering wheels, it's best steering wheels on the market. You bend it, they'll replace it. And you can send this bad boy in every year to get it redipped. So pretty cool on that. Low Car's working with us. You always want to support the guys that support you. And they made this steering wheel specifically for Derby. And I told them we had a problem with steering wheels getting bent. And they said, we got a solution. So you guys can get online, get on the demo-motorsports.com website, and you guys can buy those. So $165 shipped to your door. And I think that there's tax on top of that, but whatever tax is, $9 or whatever. So without further ado, let me get in to make sure I captured everything we want to get to before we get to Matthew here. I say we just bring Matt in and let's get the show started. What do you think?
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, there he is. Matt, you're muted. You want to unmute yourself quick?
There he is. All right.
Cool. All right. Matt, you want me to call you Matt or Matthew?
It don't matter. Either one.
All right. So you were in a little bit of some drama right throughout the weekend, and there's just so many things that are going on that get posted on Facebook. And it's just so much easier to have a conversation and clear the air because, as you know, I'm sure it's like false on both sides. Like there's all kinds of stuff going on. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's ask you some questions. Explain kind of what's going on here, and if we misspeak or anything, you let us know. Okay, make sure you correct us because we don't want to. We don't want to. We don't want to push any narrative one way or the other. But from my understanding, to start the show, let's start it off with that. So there's a raffle car at the show. There was a drawing beforehand. You happen to be the lucky winner, right?
Correct.
So you knew a couple weeks. Was it a couple weeks or a week ahead of time?
It was like the Saturday before the first, so it was probably the 22nd, 23rd of February.
Okay. So walk me through that. You ever won anything like that?
I win pretty. I mean, I'll get in on them raffles and win some Camrys every now and then. I mean, last year I only bought 3 cars, and the rest of them was one-off raffles, so I'm pretty lucky on the raffle part. But the first thing I want to get to is Robbie and Ryan are standing in whoever's garage that the car was built in, which I'm assuming it would be Robbie's. And on that live video, the car, or they say that the car would be a blank canvas. That means that it would have been in black, like I'm sure Dustin and Brian, both of you guys, seen the pictures. And so I see on the internet that the car had been painted on K Pro on one side, Bourbon Beatdown on the other, Twisted Metal Motorsports, Simple Solutions, Derby, whatever that was, Track Shot Live, and all that. Well, as a Derby driver, I think that you shouldn't want to paint your car all them bright colors and stuff because that's a number one car you go for right there is the bright one for targets. So to clear the air there, I didn't. I mean, it wasn't my car, but I put the money in and I won the raffle, so I should have been able to paint the car as the way I wanted to, which would have I would have put Bourbon Beatdown on there and I would have put K Pro because I like Ryan. I don't let's just get it out there. I don't care too much for Robbie, but it is what it is. So I get there. The promoter that I support around Central Kentucky, Sean McCollum in YNW Promotions, I asked him to bring me some decals. So he brings me decals. All right. So we're standing at Ryan's trailer, me and a buddy of mine, and we tell Ryan, I'm going to put these stickers wherever I want to. So just be prepared for that. Well, he says, I don't give a, you know what. So we get there. I go and I track Sean down. I get the stickers from him. We're standing there talking, blah, blah, blah. They walk off. I do my own thing with the car. I put the stickers where I want them. So I believe that that is where all this had started from, is from where the decals were posted and stuck on the car, which would have been fine if they'd have took them off outside where everybody had to walk through, all the drivers, all 4 or 6 classes, however many classes there were, all them drivers had to walk through. Ryan, Robbie, Critter, Shipley, all them inspectors, everybody had to walk by that raffle car, and they should have took them stickers off the end, and it probably wouldn't have been no big deal. But it is what it is, and somebody got butt hurt, and now we're here.
Yeah, well, now we're here, right? And we're just we're hitting up both sides of the story. So that's a pretty good start to it for sure. Brian, you got anything that you want to, any road you want to go down?
I guess for me, I didn't even really know where the raffle car was parked at. We got there on Friday. I know I had seen it a couple times, and it was in several different places, so I didn't really know where it was parked at. When did you guys put the decals on there? I don't even remember seeing them on there at all.
Let's say I didn't get to Louisville until about 2. Sean didn't get there till about 3. So I'm going to say 30 minutes prior to that, 3:30, 4 o'clock, maybe pushing 4:30.
On Saturday, the day of the event, right?
Oh,
Is that what
yes, yes, sir, yes, sir, yeah, yeah. And the car had been parked right in front of them 2 lifts as you walk under that awning or
you're
whatever
talking
you would call that, and it sit there for an hour and a half.
Right.
Let's say this: it didn't get pulled onto the track right beside the enforcer until right before the mower started.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I guess one of the things that I heard, Matt, was that there was maybe some misunderstanding as essentially what the raffle car was going to be. Like it was going to be painted black, or it was going to be a blank canvas. Is that? I guess Brian, I've never really thought about that. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Or Matt, what's your thoughts on that? It sounds like you thought like when you win that, right? You can do whatever you want with it.
That's what. Oh, excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's what was said on the live video. It was a blank canvas. You put your number on it, and you drive it that night. Do what you want with it.
Were
But
you
like
were
I
you
said, go
were you
ahead. Go
told
ahead.
anything? Were you told anything different after that? After that, you heard that? Like, did they reach out to you at all and say, "Hey, man, we're gonna paint this thing up. We're gonna put
No,
all
I
of our."
didn't. I figured once I seen Sowers there that he was going to get a hold of it, which was cool. I was
Yeah.
probably going to get Sowers to put my number and my name on it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. This is always, for me, dude. I mean, I guess you talk about raffle cars. There's different ways raffle cars are done, right? There's always
Correct.
some promoters, they give them away, period. It's your property. Once you win it, you get to keep all the equipment afterwards. Some of them you're just getting the opportunity to run it, and then the promoter keeps the car afterwards. Some of them come out and they're not painted at all, and the winner gets to do whatever they want. Some they're painted. I know promoters like to use raffle cars as sort of an interactive billboard for the event, for the fans
Yeah.
that are there and while they're there. There's just different ways to do it. And I think what happens a lot is there's not consistency as to how it's done. So that creates confusion and miscommunication. That's kind of what I see.
Right. Yeah. Which could have been different. It could have been said different, worded different. And either way, I mean, I was grateful because I was just going to take me and my little boy and we were going to just go watch the Derby. I mean, I was just grateful to win the raffle car.
Mm-hmm.
On the sticker placement, okay. It from the outside looking in, it appeared the sticker placement was intentional. Can you walk me through
One
that?
was intentional. The second one was just where it was so big, and I wanted to put it where people was going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody could see what it said behind the big sticker, the big
Yeah.
decal over the Bourbon Beatdown one. Now the simple solutions on the fender, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, is why I put the Y&W sticker on the simple solution part.
Okay. Was that, and just so everybody's going to want to make sure that we ask these questions, and they're going to say, well, you didn't ask the tough questions. Was that your choice on the stickers, or was that somebody else, or did you
On
actually
the
put them on, or did somebody else
Oh
put
yeah,
them
I put them on. I put
on?
them on myself.
Okay.
I might have
Okay.
had a hand in to keep them straight, the big one,
Oh
but
yeah,
as
sure.
in placement wise, it was my choice.
Okay, so that was your choice, and clearly, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that, hey, look, the little one was intentional where it went, but the big one, obviously, it only could have went a couple places on the car, anyways. Um,
Right. And if I ain't mistaken, I don't know why the Simple Solutions was even painted on the car. He didn't even have his booth there. Am I wrong? Did I look over the Simple Solution booth?
Well, his trailer was there, but because he owns both, both the Simplest Solution and he's a part owner of Twisted Metal. I think when you own companies, similar. Dustin will tell you. Dustin owns Big A spindles, so whenever we do an event, that's part of what we advertise is that spindle company. Even though we're not really set up there and vending,
Right.
it's just kind of what promoters. There's promoters all across the country. You have multiple businesses within the sport, so they use that as an opportunity to advertise for that.
And look, it's in your right to not like someone. So I just we have to ask the questions because people are going to beat us up if we don't ask those questions. So we're clear on that. How the stickers got there, where they came from, the placement, all that. Brian, is there anything else that people want to hear? Or Matt, is there anything else you want to say on that?
Go ahead, man.
No, I'm good on the sticker placement.
All right.
And I guess one follow up to that is like let's talk about when they tore them off, right? Because people probably don't really know, when did the stickers get torn off? I'm not even actually quite certain on that.
Seconds before the green flag dropped, they made it a point to get a hold of Ryan, which Ryan was the one that come to the driver window and said, "Hey, they're bitching about these stickers. You got to take them off." And then Robbie comes off of the. He didn't come off the wall. He comes down the wall about halfway and was like, "Yeah, right over my fucking Simple Solutions paint." And if there wasn't little kids in the stands, he would have probably got what I really thought, and that would have been a little finger because, it's just how it goes.
Well, in those moments, things can get pretty heated. I'm glad you made the decision to not do that.
Yeah, like you said in the drivers' meeting, no middle fingers and all that stuff. But the other part, as in Dustin, you was right there, right beside the enforcer, when the next subject will probably come up. We'll talk about that here.
Oh yeah, we got a lot more to talk about yet. We just had to get to the sticker part first. So yeah, I was standing there. I experienced some of it, so we will definitely talk about that. My last question on the sticker part is: do you see any reason that somebody that let's just say Robbie in specific would be pretty pissed about the sticker placement? Not that anyone's right or wrong. I'm just asking, do you see where anyone could be mad?
I mean, yeah, I understand it's his company or whatever you call the Simple Solutions was covered up, but he could have. Let's just put it this way: you can't tell me that somebody didn't see that car sitting outside of the track, and the stickers could have been removed then, not in front of 50 drivers and 2,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. And I mean, I appreciate the answer to the question. All right. So, Brian, you got anything else on that?
Not on the sticker decal stuff. It's just, I like to hear both sides and both perspectives, and I think, Matt's definitely got, his view, and it's valid, and that's okay. Everybody has their way of looking at it. So.
Yeah, we're not really. I mean, Matt, you know this. People have opinions, and you ain't changing people's opinions. It doesn't really matter. We're just here to talk about it because people want to hear it, right? So,
absolutely,
we're not really here to change opinions. We're just here to ask questions. We're going to ask Robbie the same questions, I'm sure, and he's going to have his side, right? And then everybody can do whatever they want from there. But all right, after running the car, so. You get in the car, you start the show, the whole sticker ordeal's over, and you get hung up, right? And this is kind of...
Did I get hung up, or did the enforcer?
It looked like you got hung up on the wall, right in front of where I was standing. That's what I could see. Is your back bumper off the ground?
The left rear tire wheel well and the enforcer bumper was inside of each other, if that's how you put it, or the enforcer bumper was inside of my wheel well.
Okay. Did
And
the enforcer engage in that contact, or were you pushed there? I don't remember how all that went.
emotions were high, and people were going to say excuses or excuses, but I think it was engaged.
Okay. Well, that's something we're going to have to pull the film up on. I'm sure there's enough cameras. I'm sure that
Yeah,
somebody has that somewhere. So I was not I was not aware of that. I thought you were hung up on the dirt, but I'm on the ground. I'm not even on the wall, so I can't really tell. But let's
so
just say in some form or fashion you're hung up.
yes, sir.
And at that time, I know at some point you got your stick broke. Did you acknowledge your stick being broke, or do you remember that happening?
Not not that people were telling me that Shipley had come off the wall beside the enforcer and broke it.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right, so
That's what
I'm
I
in the
saw.
car. I'm looking as the camera's facing me. I'm looking over my right shoulder, trying to get somebody to come and get me off the wall. And I'm revving the motor up, putting it forward, putting it reverse. I couldn't hear or I didn't see him break the flag. I'm pretty sure he was yelling in my ear, but I couldn't hear him because I had it to the floor, trying to get somebody's attention because you both probably derby before. You ain't gonna be able to hear somebody if you're yelling over them loud motors. So I was revving it up. And I was looking, like I said, over my right shoulder, trying to wave somebody on. And apparently that's when the flag got broke. So then the enforcer backs up some and I get loose. And then that's when I tried to line a shot up and was going to just derby from there because, I mean, when emotions gets high, I kind of like the little lead foot. And I look at Robbie and he's waving his hands like this and waving the flag. So the flag drop where he drops the red flag. And I'm like, I kind of get all like, what the hell is going on? And then he comes there and I take my helmet off and he rips it out of my hand. Well, I don't know what that was all about, but I don't know what he was going to plan on doing with my helmet. But then emotions got even higher. I tried to keep my emotions a little low, but you just can't when somebody's treating you like that. I mean, I think it all started from the stickers and it just escalated from there.
Yeah, well, let's reel it back because yeah, definitely
Right.
emotions were high. So let's reel it back. Outside looking in, and I want you to take it from, let's say, like a crowd perspective. Outside looking in, this is kind of what I saw, and probably what the video will show. Now, obviously, we've all been in cars, so what happens in the car and what actually happens outside of the car, sorry, two different things, right? Could be
Yeah.
definitely. So from the outside looking in, I see you on the wall. I see that your stick's broke. You, when as a driver, you can't even see if your stick's broke. So I get that. I definitely hear the motor to the wood for quite some time. All right.
Right.
At this point, I don't even know, and I'm just giving you my perspective because that's all I can give. But I don't know if that's a raffle car or not. I actually don't even know. I just think it's a car, right? I'm like, damn, dude, this guy is freaking flat footing this thing. like, and then at that point, I don't know. How long do you think you had it to the wood for 20 seconds, 15 seconds?
Probably. It bounced off the red limiter 4 or 5 times.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. I mean, she
Yeah,
was
definitely did. Definitely did.
for sure. I mean, it definitely got my attention. Okay. So you got this thing to the wood. I imagine that probably at this point, everyone just like me is looking at your car because they're like, damn, like what the hell is going on here? Because there's nothing moving that fast as what the motors are, right?
Yeah,
So
for
if
sure.
you've been on the track, when you hear a motor go, you look around for see what's moving quick. Well, there's nothing moving. So I was like trying to find where this noise was coming from. So then at this point, I think somehow you get unhooked, whether the enforcer move. I don't really know what happened, but somehow you go.
Well, the
Uh,
enforcer backed up, and that's when he came down off the wall, and that's when he came down off the wall and shot down the back side of the track from where I was standing. the back side of the track, and that's when
Okay.
everybody threw red flags and we stopped the action. That's kind of how that went.
Now, was that when I've been told, and you guys were saying that y'all had the best view, as in flag breaks? Was that when my flag was broke? Was when I was hung up on the enforcer?
Yeah. So John Shipley came off the wall. They were trying to get your attention. Because you probably timed out. They had watches on, and you weren't responding to that for one reason or another. Like you said, you're trying to get off. You're focused. Things are going on, and Shipley came off the wall and broke your stick, and you kept. Obviously, you didn't know your stick was broke, and you were still trying to get off the wall. And then the enforcer moved back, and I'm assuming that was to, get you out of the way. So if he had to go onto the track, he could. And you got out of the way for him, and so they stopped the action at that point. That was my perspective. That's what I saw from standing.
Okay.
So
I'm not sure if it ever even got broke, or they just disqualified me for raising hell, or
I think
maybe moving. Okay, maybe moving after a red flag. That was the only thing I could have.
No, it was broke before that. It was just a standard timeout, kind of thing.
Yeah, when I recognized you, like your stick was broke, and then that's when you were hitting the rev limiter, because then that's what drew my attention to the thing. That was just my perspective. I'm sure, there's, like I said, there's cameras there. Now, outside looking in, it appears most people don't hold the car to the wood. So, all right, I'm thinking, what the heck's going on here? And then obviously when I've had this happen to me actually as a promoter, and somebody competed in a car that was disqualified, through time, and they went down and smoked another guy. This happened at the first show I ever put on, and they smoked this other guy in the tire and caused the top three, top four, whatever it was at that time. It became a real problem, right? Because an illegal car hit you, and now what do I do as the promoter, right? So take it from the outside looking in. That's what appeared to happen. Now, I don't know if you actually went down and hit anyone because you were driving away. I don't know. Did you hit anyone?
I might have. I hit one person, but it was just like a get on the gas and then roll and hit him. I wasn't in it or nothing.
No kill shots, right?
Like you're just trying to make contact to reset your clock. Is what
yeah, for sure. Because I knew it was close to being timed out. I mean, 60 seconds, or what was it? Was it 60 seconds that show, or 120?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it was.
The 60 seconds can seem forever in a derby car.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems like to me.
Yeah, for sure. 60 seconds can seem very long or very short, depending, what situation you're in, obviously. But so with that said, outside looking in, you start to, after you see all that, right? Then we get into confrontation afterwards. But just focusing on that right now before we get into confrontation afterwards. It appears everything that could be said or was said, or even what you said tonight, like, you got to ask, was there a vendetta to like blow the car up? Was there a vendetta to keep going knowing your stick was broke? And I just have to ask these questions.
There was no intentions of blowing the car up. I was just, like I said, I didn't know the stick was even broke, and I was just trying to get somebody's attention.
Okay.
But I was over there. I mean, I was waving like hell. I mean, people in section 320 at the very top could see me waving. I mean, I was trying $5,000 on the line. I was doing anything I could to get somebody's attention.
For sure. And you don't want to go out. You don't want to win a car and go out on the wall. And
right. That was my worst fear, was getting stuck on the dirt, and I get stuck on that damn car.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. I guess, we just wanted to give you our perspective of what we saw. Obviously, everybody's got different perspectives, and then the camera is going to ultimately show a third. And
hopefully, I've been trying.
What's that?
I've been trying to find it. I've been
It's
trying to find it. I just want to see how long I was actually stuck. That's all I really care about. I mean, oh
yeah,
well, the rest is history.
yeah. Okay, so now we get into a little bit of confrontation. I would venture to say, I think you probably said this too. You actually just said this. It, tensions are heated at this moment between.
Emotions are very high.
Yeah, emotions are very high at this moment. Obviously, with you and what you got going on in the car, Robbie and the wall. I think probably at this moment you could probably see where um, where the promotion side of things is probably pretty heated. Like saying, "Hey, what the hell? You're for lack of any better situation, it looks like you put them in a compromise situation by competing with your stick broke. You could have, right? I've been put in that position. It is not a good position to be put in. So definitely, I think on this side, you are like not happy, right? But then
No,
also, you're still trying to compete. We've all been in cars. Um, it's not like you went down and smoked somebody. Okay, you didn't actually kill anyone, so you didn't affect the derby, so to say, which
right.
is a huge deal. Because if you go down there and hit someone with your stick out, now we got a whole nother set of
Yeah, it's a whole
worms.
other situation.
Yeah, and I think both sides can understand that. All right, so now we're to this heated moment. Walk us through this. What's going on? How was this handled?
It wasn't handled the best way. Um, I'm sitting here trying to really think about what was even said. The only things that I can point out is why Robbie took my helmet for one, and what is Owen Arnold even doing out there?
What's who? I'm sorry.
Yeah, who's that?
Owen Arnold. That's the big guy in the green jacket that
Oh,
decided to
okay.
push me when the back was turned. 600, 6'7" 280 pounds, and he wants to push somebody in the back.
Well,
I mean,
we'll
let's
get to
get real
that.
here.
I assume that he's probably working.
He
So
was
I assume,
running. He was running equipment.
yeah,
Um,
I
yeah.
assume it probably has something to do with that. But um, so let's just walk through this. You guys have some disagreements about getting out of the car, it appears, or at
Yeah.
least not getting out of the car right away. At some point, for some reason, it took you guys a minute to get out of the car. Um, this probably also fueled tempers because I'm
hmm
sure I'm nobody remembers what's said in the moment, but I'm sure some things are going back and forth in the moment. Your helmets gets taken, probably for good reason, because you can't, you're done competing, right? That's kind of a simple
Yeah.
to say, hey, look, you're done competing. Be on top of the stick broke. You get out of the car. What happens next?
Words get exchanged, and they tell me to get off the track, and I just wanted to talk to Robbie. I mean, I didn't have no reason to talk to anybody else but the guy calling the shots, and they wasn't letting me to him. And when he did come up to me, it was nothing but like yelling. We were both yelling at each other, and it is what it is. After
Yeah,
that, I mean, I really honestly don't know what was said. I'm sure a couple cuss words. He's a snake, probably.
Positive of that.
yeah, I'm pretty positive. I think that's where me and Brian came in because now you're at the edge of the track, and obviously,
I don't
in
really remember Brian as much, but I do remember you, Dustin.
I got a
You were,
forgettable face.
he's the
yeah,
worst looking.
don't.
So,
Oh Jesus.
But
um,
after that, I mean, just when Owen come up and told me to get off the track, I was going. I mean, there wasn't no reason to push me in the back. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
yeah, I think I think probably there's definitely some regrettable moments throughout the night on
oh
maybe
yeah,
both sides. Maybe
both
the
sides
push,
for sure.
yeah, the
I mean, I
pushing
don't do it
back.
on my side. Some of the regrettable moments. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't raised to act like a jackass in public. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I'm sure the shoving that can't really do that. That's definitely not something you can do. Brian and I talked about that too. I don't know how you get someone off the track, because you guys were arguing and you got to go on with the show. So not really sure how you get someone off the track in that situation, but you definitely got to get some cooler heads, and that's kind of where, I mean, that's what I was there for, right? I was just there to say, hey, look, I know we got to get a
You were
show.
one of the only ones that was talking to me like a human being, but I mean, I've never been put in the situation as a promoter on the outside looking in. I mean, to me, it would seem like just let the drivers get out what they got to say and just mosey to the entrance or the exit of the track, and it would all been fine because that's what I was just going to do. Get what I had to say out and just you know brush it off and go have a good time with the people I was with.
Yeah, I'll tell you from my perspective as somebody who's put on shows now and helped put on shows. Um, I like seeing the emotion out of the drivers. I like to see the emotion out of the promoters and the officials too. That means it's real. It matters. I think the fans enjoy that too. That's part of the atmosphere, and
Yeah,
it happens pretty much at every derby that I've ever been to. Is you're going to see some of that going on. It's like where does that allowed to stop? And how do we corral it and kind of, hey, okay, we all had our little moment there, but we got cars on the track that are getting hot. Other
yeah,
drivers ready to go. Maybe they were in the zone. And it's like, okay, let's not interrupt it. The fans want to see the derby too. So we had our little moment. We said what we needed to say, but let's move on here. And
yeah. Let's
okay,
move on.
and
Sure.
that's really what I think everybody's trying to get to is, all right, we got it out.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
got
Let's
a
go.
chance to say their piece, and let's move on now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, and I think on my side, like, I know you mentioned talking to me was pretty easy, but it's we got a lot of perspective. Remember, it's not my show, right? I'm not like I don't got a shit ton of money, a shit ton of time, all this energy and doing this. Built like I'm pretty sure Robbie built the raffle car, so that's a thing, right? I don't have all
Hmm.
that, so it's a lot easier to disconnect and just kind of diffuse the situation. You know,
Yeah,
if it's
yeah,
I think we could all trade places, and once if you were in my shoes, you'd probably be a lot cooler head too, right?
yeah.
If I was in Robbie's shoes, I'd probably be a lot. You probably wouldn't be saying the same thing about me, and vice versa, right? Um, so I think it's all about perspective there, and like there's just a lot going on, right? And to talk through those things and not do it on like Facebook posts, because dude, just in this short half hour or whatever we've been on here, cleared the air on a lot of things. I think rather than just like I just see so much BS here, BS there. How did the stickers do this? I heard this, and I'll tell you this, man. I have been at the receiving end. So has Brian. So has other people of false allegations and this and that. That it's just like, where does this stuff even come from? So it's cool to
Yeah.
clear the air. Obviously, sounds like everyone. Hopefully, we're gonna have a conversation here in a little bit with Robbie and those guys. But it sounds like probably some different decisions could have been made that night, which would have helped things out. We lost you on the camera, but I think you're still there. You still there?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
there.
I had
Yeah.
a call coming in.
Yeah, and things get a lot better, right? A lot easier. And obviously, you mentioned you don't care for Robbie. That maybe played a factor. Maybe it didn't.
Yeah,
You
and the thing is, I haven't had two full conversations with the man. But if you tell somebody that you got a, it was all over. Might be holding a grudge. Oh well, whatever. But it was over a spool of 9 wire. I wanted to buy a spool of 9 wire at Bass for Cash, and he said it was pre-ordered. Well, I walked by his booth right after the derby's over, and he's loading it up in his trailer. I might
Sure.
be holding a grudge, but whatever. Whatever. We don't need to talk about that.
Well, look, man. Usually, when things like this happen, there's a little bit deeper. You just got to dig a little deeper, and maybe there's some things that are get uncovered that haven't been talked about, or just were never talked about or never diffused. Maybe that you just mentioned. Maybe that was one of them, right? And hopefully those things can be put to bed. Um, because dude, I think you got a great opportunity there with the raffle car. It didn't work
I
out.
did. It was might have been one of the best built cars out there, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it was. They say he could build a car, and he's got some of the best stuff, but
Yeah,
I didn't get to use it like I wanted.
you were around out there for a while. I mean, I can't remember what you would have placed or anything, but you seemed like you were out there for a while in it.
Common
Yeah, I
common
really wanted to see.
misconceptions with the raffle car are what? It's not built very well. So, I mean, it sounds like you looked it over and it was a pretty well built car.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
I'm gonna
just
see how them bumpers hold up here in about 2 months.
those TCJs.
Them adapt bumpers or TCJs. Is that what they're
Yeah,
called?
I think they're pretty similar to the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, look, is there anything else that we need to talk about, or we want to clear the air on your side?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm over it. Actually, I really don't. I mean, yeah, it's funny and shit to
Yeah.
talk about, but I mean, let's move on to the next show.
Well, hey,
Where,
man. Look, at least for me, I'll let Dustin close it out. But I certainly appreciate you being willing to come on here and talk about it. I mean, that's pretty cool. Some guys will, not some, a lot of guys out there on the internet. I'm sure you've read comments and everything else. Everybody's what do we call them, Facebook tough guys. But for you to be
Yeah,
willing to actually come on and talk about it, I think that's pretty cool. So I mean, I'm glad you did that. That's great.
I appreciate it.
I had something pulled over the comments, and holy moly, we got a lot of comments here that I just missed the whole time. I didn't mean to do that. Everybody that's commenting, we could probably go on for days and go back and forth on the comments, but it looks like um, everyone got their comment in. Sorry, I missed those. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Where is your next show? Where are you going to be?
I'll probably go to a YNW show in Central Kentucky at Gary County.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. We got some more stuff to get to. We got some enforcer action to get to, and we got to talk about who impressed at the show. So we'll wind it out with that. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man.
Cooler sounds like maybe cooler heads could prevail next time. In all
For
circles.
sure.
And
Yes, sir, for sure.
maybe you and Robbie can talk about that spool of wire and maybe hash some things out on whatever else is going on. So overall, what'd you think of the event?
It was I like the mini cars. The mini cars. I mean, my buddy Brandon Tussey. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out on live right now. If a Tussey is out on the track, good luck, because there's some of the best wheelman that there is.
Hey, real quick, what did you think about the lawnmowers? I've got experience watching these lawnmowers run. I have never seen anything like that with lawnmowers. That was crazy.
Not 50 out on one track at the same
Yeah,
time.
that was
I
nuts,
mean,
man.
there were some that was faster than most cars move around, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think I've enjoyed a mower heat like
Hey,
that.
they weren't faster than you coming off that wall. There ain't no way. That's for sure.
Probably not, but I mean, that's one of the most exciting heats of lawnmowers I've ever watched.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. Um, let's get on. Let's move it on. We got some things to talk about in with the finishing, and then we'll bring Robbie and those guys on. So Matt, I'll bring you to the back. Again, thanks for coming on. Most people wouldn't come on and tell their side of the story, so hats off to you.
All right, man.
right.
Shout out to YNW, Top Dog Promotions, and Demo One. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate
man.
you. All right, I got to pull up this winners list here because Brian, before we bring these two on, it was posted in the Bourbon Beatdown page.
Yeah, maybe Robbie can talk. Maybe let Robbie talk through that, his winners and all that kind of stuff. He probably has all that information.
Yeah, we'll have to pull that up. Let's go through some of the quick comments here. Do you see anything that stands out to you that we need to talk about?
I think there's a lot of people that want to hear about the enforcer situation. It looks like so. We'll certainly talk about that. Look, I mean, it's the typical response. He said, she said, and emotions are high, and all that. That's all true and valid. But look, I mean, I just want to give everybody a chance to talk about it, and perspective is everything. I mean, it really is.
Okay, well, let's bring Robbie on and let's chit chat with him a little bit. Robbie, Andrew, coming on.
Robbie, you're muted, bud.
All right, Robbie. I don't know if you got a chance to hear that, but a quick little recap. Essentially, I think what we got to was there was a little bit of a vendetta. Okay, it sounds like, and maybe not well liked, and the stickers were placed, or at least one was placed in a particular spot. Little disagreement on if they should be able to put the stickers on the car or not, and we kind of talked through that too. But it sounds like that's where we were at, right, Brian?
Yeah, for sure.
And we tried to give some perspective. I think Matt, also cooler heads are prevailing, now. So I think there's been perspective both ways. Anything that you want to, if you heard that, anything that you wanted to comment on?
I'm not the one that makes all the calls on the wall. Most of the time I was on the wall, I was writing down who was doing, where they were at as far as they broke their stick, what position they got, writing all that down. I know there's a miscommunication that I was the only one making those calls. I had a team that did that. Yes, I was listening, and yes, I did speak on there at times, but when he was hung up on the wall at the end by the enforcer, there was a lot of communication between the two end guys on that end. And Mike Decker was actually calling for the enforcer card to come out and hit one. I don't remember the number, but it was a white car that was along the wall. And I remember one of the flagmen saying, do not knock the car off the wall that is hung until he times out. And I believe they give him like 3 minutes of being hung up just because it was the raffle car. I do know that I heard over the radio. I didn't see it with my own eyes. I do know that they did say that the raffle car's back end, the trunk or rear bumper was on the dirt. Because once his flag was broke, John had broke his flag. He shined him with the laser and he went out and broke it off. And I'm pretty sure they even communicated. I haven't watched it because I'm still trying to catch up from the shop where I missed a week trying to do the Derby. So I'm going to buy it from Throwdown TV and watch it myself. But I do remember hearing a lot of the communication. And once his stick was broke, I think the goal was for him to pull over on the other side to let the enforcer do what we were trying to get it to do, along that one wall over where Mike Decker was. The enforcer did back up and still had to knock that car off because I remember hearing one of the officials on that end tell him that he was gonna have to hit it to knock it off of that dirt. So
Jimmy, I believe, was on that end. He sounds like he's chiming
yep.
in.
I believe Jimmy was one of the ones that was in communications with John on both sides of that opening.
Yeah.
At times, don't hold me on it, but I was told at times the tires was not turning and they were just holding it on the rev limiter, like trying to blow it up. Not saying that he was, but maybe it was between gears. I don't know, but it was just sitting on the rev limiter. But once his stick was broke, the enforcer did have to back up and knock that car off the dirt. And once that happened, the car took off toward the way it was going, throwed it in reverse while it was still going forward, backed all the way up, and then went all the way down the track and ran into cars that would didn't plow into them because they were moving forward. So there wasn't a whole lot there to hit. Ran into the back bumper. And that's when I went out and said, hey, you got to get out of the car. Like, you're out. Because if he would have actually hit those cars, and that would have changed the whole game. And that's something that I can't change if that happens. That's not fair to the guy that was still in competition. So once that happened, he's arguing, I'm arguing, right? Like, you got to get out of the car. Come on. You got to get out of the car. You're out. You got to get out of the car. So once, he's still mouthing. He sets his helmet up on the hood. I've derbied since I was 10. When tensions are high, it's not a good thing to have a helmet in your hand when so I know the helmet's his. I'm not doing nothing with his helmet. He won it with the car. So I took the helmet in my hand. I never, I wasn't going to give it to him when he's mad and yelling and cussing and, all back and forth. I'm not going to let him have his helmet where he can use it as a weapon, right? I mean, that's common sense. How many times you see drivers hit people with their helmet, especially in a situation like that? I try to get him over to the opening. I'm like, come on, buddy, we got to go. Come on, we got to go. Come on, we got to get off the track. I got the show started back up. Cussing. You all, this and that. Come on, you got to get off the track. We get him over to the opening. Starts it all over again, and then that's when Tudor comes down, and I don't know what he said to Tudor. I don't know what they said to each other, but he gets shoved. Once he gets shoved, instead of still going toward the gate, he makes a hard right. Now he's got his helmet in his hand because he ripped it out of my hand when we got over there close to the gate. And he's headed toward the crowd. I mean, you don't know what he's going to do with the helmet again, right? So,
yeah, and to Robbie, to reel that back in, I mean, it didn't get de-escalated very well. That's for sure. I mean, it kind of just kept happening, right? And
yep, I'm not sure how this situation would ever get de-escalated, really. I mean,
there's just not. I mean,
right.
I think we walked through this with him,
right.
and
I'm not blaming fault. I'm just saying, like he said, tensions were high.
Yeah.
So I was just walking through the steps of what went down, right? We're trying to get him off the track, get the derby started back up. So
yeah, and it sounds like probably better decisions would have been made if it wasn't the heat of the moment. And even there was some tension brought up there that maybe of the past. It tends to, when things like this go down, there tends to be some underlying issue, and I think that we uncovered that. But I asked about Jimmy says, and maybe maybe this is true, maybe it isn't, maybe it can be confirmed on camera, but it definitely felt like he was flat-footing it there on the wall for sure.
It was definitely being held on the rev limiter.
Yeah.
And like I said, after the derby, there was multiple people said that it was in park and the wheels was not spinning. It was just sitting there on the rev limiter.
Yeah. I can't tell you that for sure or not. I can tell you I've definitely held a car to the rev limiter trying to get unhung. But if it's a park,
and that's what I'm saying too. Like I said that I wasn't over there. I couldn't see the tires spinning, but that's what was said after the event, that it was being held on the rev limiter for a very long time. So
yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe he thought he had it in gear. I don't know.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Look, we got to get on to. Is there anything else that you want to say on that?
No, I mean, I wish things were different there, but you know,
No,
and it wasn't no grudge toward the stickers or nothing. You know, the sticker situation wasn't even that big of a situation. If they would have asked to put those stickers on there, we'd have had them put them somewhere other than over our own stuff. You know, that was a lot of work that I put into that car to make that happen for whoever won it. The least I could do is get my name on the front fender.
I guess
Yeah, well, I
probably
think
that's probably my biggest issue a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like we've worked our tail off and stuff to get that car, to get the venue.
I mean, that's
The
2 weeks
car
worth
was
of
built.
building.
We had Jason Sire that was coming to paint the car for us. Um, and they took that time. You know, they took that time to paint our logo that we came up with ourselves. And to me, it was. I know a lot of these guys, but like to me, it's you're disrespecting what you try to make it personal. Like I can promise you, I have issues with nobody, but when you go to put a sticker like that completely over top of where it says Bourbon Beatdown, like that's kind of low blow. Like for me, and I mean, I know I'm on the business side of it too. Also, it's just it's kind of for me, it's childish in a way because why would you do that? Like I would, hey, I can promise you, I myself, I'm not going to do that to anybody. Like it's our event. Why disrespect? Like it's disrespectful to cover up somebody else's logo whose event that it is.
And I
You know
would
what I'm
have pulled
saying?
those I would have pulled those decals off just the same if I'd have seen them on outside.
Yes, I would have too. And I'll be honest with you. But when you're
Never seen
busy
it.
as a promoter, you know, like a venue that big, let's be honest. We started at our concert started at 3:30, ended at 4:30. We were pulling cars on the track at 5 o'clock, and the Derby ended at 12 a.m. Like we didn't have time to do anything. So
We
yeah, we missed it. We missed.
we were in the drivers meeting when those decals were supposedly put on that car. I mean, we came straight from the drivers meeting, straight inside. I ran the Power Wheels Derby that started at 4:30 right after the drivers meeting. I literally told the Power Wheels as I was walking by, "Let's go to the track." I opened the door, Power Wheels went to the track. I
yeah,
never left inside until the
yeah,
till the
guys.
Derby was over.
Brian, and correct me if I'm wrong. You were in that conversation with Matt. I don't think that Matt was denying that that at least the one sticker was purposely put on, right?
Yeah, I think he said the one over the simple solutions was intentional. The other one, it was just a big decal, and there was really nowhere else to put it on the car, so that's where they put it. So
Yeah. So I look, there
I,
probably it sounds like there was some intention there. Maybe at this point in time, probably rethink that, but it sounds like obviously it was purposeful, but
yep.
um
You know, to me, I feel like it was an action looking for a reaction. I feel like they were put there wanting the reaction that they got, you know. And I don't mean that negatively, but there's no good outcome to doing that to what they did, you know, or what that was done, right? Um
And who's truly behind it? Let's be honest. Like who's truly behind it all? I mean, obviously he didn't bring those stickers with him
yeah, he
because
said
he
that Sean
also he also was asking for other stickers to be placed on there. We also, you
he
know, he giving
yeah, there,
shout
you know,
outs.
a
So
lot of people talk when you're in the derby world, you get every side, like selling parts and stuff. I've had multiple people tell me that he asked for Top Dog Promotions stickers to put over top of my logo also. You know, that's just a jab at me, I think, because I've actually, you know, I'm working my butt off to get what I got going on. And, you know,
and
and
let's be honest, John Peck is pretty stand up guy. John Peck's never said a word. He's never been upset about the venue for us. And I mean, he's never that's not John Peck.
And that's the
So
thing, like there's a miscommunication there thinking that I'm not friends with John. I'm friends
no,
with John. I
John's
don't run
legit.
John's shows because I've got so much going on. Like I'm friends with John. There's a
But for me, and I'll
miscommunication there.
say this, like I like the other person, but for me, I'm 45 years old. You know what I'm saying? I got three beautiful daughters, my wife and stuff. There's more to life than sitting on a computer and always commenting all the time. Like, if that's all
Agree.
you have to do, like, we have failed in society. I'm just being honest. Like, we have completely failed society. Like this
So
stuff don't get me through the gates of heaven. Um, we got to be nice people, good people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so sad that we have come to this. And when you're an adult and you're acting like some high school girl sitting behind a computer, it's sad. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll continue to help. I promise you, I will spend every ounce of the time I have to make this derby with Robbie at Freedom Hall the biggest derby in America if I have to. We will
so
put a team together with some of the best guys, and I felt like we did that. You know, we
I've
Yeah,
we got
always
we got to get into that. We got to get into the show stuff.
hey
But there is.
real quick.
Go
I've
ahead.
always supported Sean. I've talked to him at the Fair Board conventions. Never had an
same.
issue with Sean. Um, I don't have an issue with Sean. I see some of the Facebook messages he put on there that night after the decals got ripped off. I mean, that's pretty cruel things to say over some stickers getting pulled off of a car. Those stickers, if he would have asked, anybody that truly knows me would have said, yeah, put them on the hood, put them on the roof. I would have never said put them over top the decals, you know what I'm saying, or over top our logos. I would not have had a problem with those stickers being on that car. And when that car came on that track, one of the officials said, why is there young and reckless stickers covering up the Bourbon Beatdown? I went straight to Ryan Kratzer like, how did that happen? I never even seen it. Ryan said, let's go rip them off.
Yeah.
We went out there and ripped them off. I mean, I'm not going to leave that on there covering up my logo and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, on to sum that up, because I think we went through it. I think we know
Yeah.
kind of where both sides are
Yep.
at. I mean, I'll tell you this: if we have like a raffle car every year, and if anybody had their stickers on there that didn't have anything to do with that raffle car, there's zero chance it would fly.
Agree.
Now, look, this also does bring some understanding that maybe there needs to be like understanding what you can and can't do with the raffle car too. That's kind of what I took out of it too, is like, okay, if you do win it, is it yours? How do I think that probably has to be some clarity, but I mean, Brian, I don't think that we would probably let anything on a car that people, and the reason
Well,
why is because it's a billboard, right? It's like our
Well,
billboard.
yeah, right. So a raffle car is a billboard for the promoter to advertise their logos, their information, their affiliates. Their sponsors that they have. It's an interactive billboard for everybody to enjoy. For me, if stickers were going to be put on that raffle car, all I would ask is, hey, just ask me. Ask me, and we'll walk over to the raffle car. We'll look for a
Agree.
spot to put them. And that's
Agree.
perfectly fine. So if that didn't happen, okay, well, that's, I could see how that's a problem.
And that would happen. I can promise you, I would have put their stickers on there and
And
placed any of them. I mean,
and
that's
you
the
know
type of person I am.
the miscommunication might have been that we don't actually own that raffle car. Ryan Kratzer does. I just put it together for him, donated my time and parts toward it to make it for my show to give somebody another opportunity to drive. So maybe that's the miscommunication, but
That was,
we
but
paid
we
to have
also
it
said that
painted.
you're getting to drive the car. That was it. I mean, it's very clear. They were getting to
Yeah, well,
drive
look,
the car.
sometimes things like this get brought up, and this is where you got to clarify what is what, right? So
Agree.
Hey, and it's a
I
good
know
learning
I don't want to get
experience.
too hung up on this subject because look, we had
Yeah.
Matt on. You
Well,
guys got to talk. We definitely cleared that up. We have a whole enforcer deal to talk about, boys, and we got to talk about who performed that night.
real quick, you got to pull up Andy's comment. Andy Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
That was from King last year. Andy had our raffle car and ended up on his lid.
All right, real quick. All right, before we get into the enforcer stuff, Robbie, where are these results at from the show?
Kay's pulling them up right now. I had them on my phone, and
I've got them pulled up right now. If you want me to go through it,
Brian,
go
send
ahead.
them.
Go
send
ahead,
them
Brian.
over to me, or here. Let me put it up online because I'll tell you this. One thing we have to do is there were some performances that night that we have to talk about.
Agree.
And these guys deserve credit. Oh, it's kind of blurry. Make it a little bigger.
You're testing my knowledge right now.
Push control and then scroll your mouse.
There we
Look
go.
at that. Look at that.
Look at that guy.
Real quick, mowers, craziest shit I ever seen.
Hey, you stay tuned for my big announcement about them, big fella.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Andrew, you were such a big fan of him right before the event, man.
You mean that meeting?
craziest
You
shit
mean
I've ever
hey,
seen.
You mean my buddy Toby Hiley and Robbie's conversation behind my back? Whatever we do, we can't let Andrew talk to him. Yeah.
I did not want Andrew close to the mower guys because I thought he was going to load them all up because he was so tired of dealing with it.
Anybody else that stands out that we got to talk to, let us know. But I got to give and I'm just going to give my shout outs to people that I thought stood out. You guys can call your own out. Go down to this Garen, is it Walters or Waiters?
Waters.
Waters. Garen Waters.
Dude. Waiters.
Sorry, man.
Jesus
Look,
Christ.
I'm just trying to give the guy credit. This guy put on an absolute show. I thought for sure Joel was going to win it. I thought he had it wrapped up, and he beat one of the best drivers out there. And he did it probably with a lesser car. And I'm sure Joel hated to lose that way. He really wanted to finish out, and he ran a derby that he should have deserved to win. But the fact that this guy stayed in there with a lesser car, I thought was a hell of a performance. Anything else you guys got on that?
No, I agree.
Go ahead.
We did have an overall Mad Dog there. Well, in the street stock class, Eric Rice, we had a rollover there. I mean, he hit hard enough to turn 2 cars over, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was him and Jason Kidman,
Yep,
right?
him and Jason Kinman. Yep.
Kevin's pretty known for flipping. Let's be honest.
And then we give away the Bobby Brockway overall most twisted driver to Devin. So, and all those guys with the most twisted get a free entry for 2026, and we'll have a lot of that info out here in the next couple of months. So,
I mean, those mini cars, those compacts, man. That was the last heat of the night. You guys were on a time crunch because you had a hard stop at midnight, right?
Yes, sir.
And I tell you what, those guys did everything they could to end that thing at midnight, and they did on the dot. That was really impressive.
There was a lot of hard hits. I seen people stretched all the way out in that class. There was a lot of good hits in that class.
The mini car guys kind of got a little upset with us because we had to change the running order. It's a tough call to make. However, I will say this, Robbie and I have talked about this. We definitely will be showing them a little bit of love for 2026. That way they understand, hey, sometimes things happen like this. It's a lot harder to get big car drivers to drive the way that mini car guys do.
Can I explain why we made that decision last minute, Andrew?
Oh yeah, go ahead for sure. Go on and do it.
So as a promoter, we made the last minute decision because we were getting pretty close on time. We made that last minute decision to run the big cars before the small cars because we were worried that the big cars or that the small cars would finish and only leave us a short amount of time to try to run the big cars. That sounds bad when you look at it that way. But if we run the big cars first and they take longer, there's going to be a better chance that they're going to allot us more time to finish up the last class. You see what I'm saying? So we did that switch there to try to get those big cars on the track, let them do their thing, and then beg for more time if we had to. And everything worked out, and we did not have to. So it was a good night for that, but that's why we did the switch.
And I will tell you, I was nervous. I guarantee you, Robbie was. I know, my family and them were up in the suite and stuff, looking down and checking the time, and then one of our contacts with the venue is like, "Hey, how's it looking? How much time do you think? How much longer do you think it's going to be?" And this was at 11:53, I think, when I got my text message, and I'm like, she's like, "Is there anything that you need?" And I just put time. And then when she put how much, and I'm thinking, all right, these little guys here, I'm thinking maybe 3 minutes. I said 6 minutes. I think they'll be done in 6 minutes. And then all of a sudden, she just sent me a message like right at like 11:59. It says, "Hey, just breathe. I think we'll get through this. Don't worry." And then
See,
it
there you
ended
go. See?
instantly. So the venue, I will tell you, like they're very adamant. I know their workers and stuff. Like they have to plan all that. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like the a lot of this is planned in a year in advance. You all know this. Like some of your stuff is a year, 16, 18 months planned, when ours was 6 or 7, 8 weeks at the max from the beginning to the end. And these people need to know like that stuff is already negotiated in these kind of contracts. Well, when our contract wasn't negotiated the same way because of the time frame, things are a little different. Time and venues like that is very costly. But hey, they worked with us and everything's been great.
Yeah, we know all about that.
Right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we certainly know all about that. Real quick, couple more shout outs. Look, everyone on the list deserves a shout out, but I want to know who this Wade Ayers and this Presley Ayers, is that how you say their last name? Because
Yep.
those guys, and even Dylan in third, like, but I know who Dylan is. He didn't just get on the radar here. This Wade and Presley, I mean, who are those guys? Because they were
They
very
drove hard. Yep. They drove a good derby. Yep.
I don't know. Is this their coming out party? Because I mean, there's no way they drove like that and performed like that, and that's the first time in a car. I can tell you that because they were really impressive.
Yep.
Definitely want to see more of those guys.
Agree.
Looks like they're some of these guys are saying they're from Bowling Green. Young guys, right? From
Let's get him to demo too, man. That's a similar class, the same class as running old school wire. We got that. We got opportunities, man.
Yeah,
I agree.
Those
These guys
cats
are
run
so
more,
fun
man.
to watch.
I want to see those cats run more. Obviously, shout out to Bubba and Ty at the top there. Really cool to see Bubba on the track and performing so well.
That dude is just the coolest cat in the car.
He's ridiculous.
Like he was saying earlier, that T28, the Tussies.
Mm-hmm.
Tussies are some of the best drivers that I've ever seen. They can bring a bone stock car and run with the mods and still pull off a win. I mean, they're always in the money. As you can see, they're first and third.
I mean, down at
Ethan
down at Bragging Rights,
Clifton.
didn't the coffee? What's his name? He drove on top of his car twice, didn't he? Three
Yep,
times. Germantown, Bragging Rights.
Yep.
Samuel Coffee, wasn't it? No,
Yep.
was it Samuel or the youngest one? Dennis.
It was Sam, and then
Yeah, Samuel and him.
Ethan Clifton there in the stock minis. I mean, I watched him win Bash when he didn't have his driver's license yet. So, definitely another experienced driver there.
Hey, I tell you, who I was kind of pretty impressed with the first big show for Dustin Osborne. I mean, let's be honest, that poor guy had nothing left, and Joe Freiberger wore his back end out.
Joe was driving to the driver's seat there for a minute.
Yes,
the Josh F.
I remember
the Josh F. finally came out of that car.
Yeah, wasn't Dustin in an all black car? Isn't that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, Dustin and that Corey Hammonds at 427X. I mean, they used their car. I mean, I'm sure Joe was like, "Is this car ever going to die?" Like he just kept on and kept on. And hey, Dustin made a good run. I mean,
those were both of those guys. Both that's their first big shows right there, Coy and Dustin Osborne.
And I'm telling you right now, it don't matter where they go to. You could about bet that
they're in the money. Yep,
they're going to be close to the money. Hey, and I'll say this, like there's some other guys that are around like the area that Corey and Dustin and all them from. Like there's a lot of them guys that had super nice cars there that got probably in the top 10 or 12.
Yep,
Robbie, that's around this area.
And then the MWFA class there, I was shocked to see a lot of those names go to that class when they didn't get into the the mini car class or the full size class. A lot of those guys signed up. There's a lot of big names in that top 5 right there. in other classes that signed up for MWFA because they didn't get in to the class that they were wanting. So shout out to those guys. Thank you. And thank you for putting on a show. I know Kyle Bryant got hit pretty good by the enforcer car. He was laughing his butt off about it after it. He said he would rather lose 2 more lug nuts than get hit by that enforcer car again. So, that's hilarious. But
well, let's go into that. You can take that down, Brian.
Hey, Dustin, real quick, I was going to say one thing real quick. I don't know if y'all paid attention to that Naturally Nuts, that white car that was in the street stop.
Mhm.
Did you know? So I have a good friend that ran there this past Saturday, and for some reason he's always ran a 66 number, and he decided to change all the colors, new signs and everything, and went to like a number 2. Well, Naturally Nuts, he's out. He don't live too far from Freedom Hall, but he comes down our way here to run quite a bit. He smoked him. From one end of the track all the way to the other. He didn't even know that, he runs with him quite a bit at other county fairs. He knocked him plumb in the floorboard. That's when I think Dallas Jackson come out there and like, somebody better get to this boy. He's in the floorboard. He thought he had got knocked out cold.
when I got over there, Scott was still trying to climb out from under the steering column. I mean, he folded him over pretty good and stuffed him in the floorboard. It was a good
He's
shot.
like, man, I think Dallas like, where is your seatbelt? He said, hey, heck with my seatbelt. You think you can ask if I'm okay first? He just know where he's at.
That is, I think we've all been there. All right, we got to get to the next topic here, Robbie and Andrew. The enforcer. All right. My understanding, the enforcer, is that these guys had to sign a contract with the enforcer. Is that correct?
It is on our contract, and at the bottom of it, it says it. Go ahead, Robbie. You can read it.
What does it say? What does it say?
Hold on. I have Kara go get me one of the contracts.
I think I have it here.
I'll read it word for word.
Okay. And then the next thing, my understanding is that in the driver's meeting, you make it very clear.
I did. I went over all of it in the driver's meeting about if the enforcer was to get hit back. It's out there to police, right? It's not out there to derby. It's not a derby car. I don't care if it gets drugged down the side of. I don't care, if it gets hit in the crossfire, if it's an accident, right? It's not made to be hit, right? Like, obviously it could get hit out there with everybody going wide open or whatever. Here, she just brought it to me. It says, if you hit the enforcer car and damage it, your car will be held by the Twisted Metal Motorsports team until damages are paid in full.
Okay, and so this is something that everyone signs. So no one going into the event, and it's brought up in the driver's meeting, so everybody understands this.
Yep. Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk about like why the enforcer exists anyways. Like,
okay, so I have a hard time with just going out there and breaking sticks because a lot of times the pace is going across the board. Everybody's running about the same pace sometimes, or maybe you just got one or two. You start going out there breaking sticks, in my opinion, you're starting to try to control the derby. Or, with the enforcer car, you can go out there and give them a warning and they stay in the derby still. And it's just a warning shot. It ain't out there to kill them. It ain't out there to just like to put a major damage in their car. It's just like, hey, pick it up, right? Like, let's get going. That's what the enforcer car is for. And it's good entertainment for the kids in the crowd. I was that kid.
Essentially, what I'm hearing though is it's entertainment, right? To ensure that you have entertainment, it entertains a couple different ways.
Yep.
Everybody knows what it is, and they know what they're signing up for.
Yep.
Well, so they do know. Hey, Dustin, they do know what. Well, they do know what they're signing up for. But this enforcer car is from 20-some years ago when it all come about with Dent. When it was on blacktop and everything. However, I feel like guys that are our age in the 40s, we respected back then, what Dent was. We have a lot of young drivers now, so it's not the same. So with what it's used for now.
Well, back then when it was used in Dent, like, correct me, if I'm wrong here, was it used in Dent to take cars out, or was it just used at what you guys did it?
Indent. I went when I was a kid. It was to take you out. Like if you wasn't hitting, they tried to punish you with it. Like they break your wheels off, hit you head on. Put the trunk in the dirt. Their intentions was to damage your car severely.
Okay.
We're not doing that. We're just doing it for
No.
the kids. We're doing it to keep the show going. We don't have to stop it. I don't have to put officials in harm's way to go out there and tell you to hit. I mean, how many times do you see promoters go out there and take spray paint and spray paint a car and it changes nothing, right?
I've seen promoters spray paint the whole track.
I've seen spray Febreze in the air. But we're all joking, but the car has a purpose, right? It is a sentimental thing to me. And like I said, I don't care the car gets tore up, but it doesn't need it. The purpose is not to hit it back, right? Like me and Zach Lehman, I was just saying, and Kyle Bryant, we were all out there after the Derby laughing our butts off at it to the point where we were almost crying. They were waiting on me to bring them the clipboard, and we were just having a good time about it. That he was talking about how when it hit him, it stretched him all the way out, and it was just comical. I mean, it ain't out there to hurt nobody. It's not out there to damage your car significantly where it can't continue or to where it's going to make you struggle. It's just there to give you that warning, keep the show going without breaking your stick off.
Did you communicate that to the drivers in the drivers meeting? The purpose of the okay.
Yeah, I actually told them in the drivers meeting that we were going to hit them once with it, and then after that we was going to break their stick. But I want to see people. Go for it. I want to see people compete, right? That's why we also take the lug nuts, the 2 lug nuts, not getting away from the enforcer, but that's also like another way to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? So,
and for what we're trying to do, like with Freedom Hall and some of our other shows that we have lined out, we want a little bit faster paced demolition derby. Fans need that. They want that. That's why we went to a lighter build. You know what I'm saying? Like, you all see the rules. Y'all see the type of cars that are there right now. I mean, if we wanted cars to not bend, I mean, obviously, we would go to built minis. You know what I'm saying? Like 5 on, 5 off kind of deal. Just 5-foot cars. So we went to a lighter build so that people in the stands could see this. That, cars are bending. And so, no, we didn't want this car to completely destroy him. We just want them to get motivated. Like, hey, we got to get going now, and it helps with the time. I mean, when you're on a time frame, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But you also, man, you take somebody that comes, from Missouri or from Arkansas or other places, to come down there and their style of driving, you take that away a little bit and you break their flag. I mean, I guess in a sense, I've read some of this stuff, and I don't get involved in social media like that kind of way, but like, you don't want to dictate the outcome of a demolition derby. And if that was the case, we probably ought not even do any of it. I mean, you got to let the guys dictate who wins.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I don't think you're here. I don't think we're here to talk about or change anyone's opinions. Like, people are gonna, like, I'm reading comments. Hey, you shouldn't. It should be hit back. It shouldn't be out there. All these things, right? The fact of the matter is, and kind of what we spelled out for everyone is, if you pulled on that track that night, you knew, what you were getting into, and I think that's the most important thing here. Yeah. Because that's undeniable. It's not debatable. Everyone knew about it.
You don't get to use the excuse that you didn't read it before you signed it, or you didn't go to the drivers meeting, because now you're telling on yourself twice.
But
you missed a mandatory meeting too. So
did they miss that mandatory meeting is the thing. They didn't.
Yeah, so let's get into that. Okay, so the enforcer hit several cars throughout the night. It obviously hits a van. For those of you that didn't know, a van hits it back, Robbie. The consequences were clear. I'll just say what it looked like from our side. From our vantage point, it looked like the person who hit the van decided they were going to pull off the track and get out of there because they knew the consequences. that's Brian, me and you've talked about it. That's kind of what it looked like. Now I don't know if that's true or not. But.
Well, I've seen this happen at other shows, not with an enforcer, but when you're upset as a driver and you feel like you're about to get put on the spot, so to speak, I've seen guys try to drive off the track and get out of there and load up and leave. I mean, and that's just, I've seen it happen many times. So that's what it appeared to me. He knew he was wrong and was trying to get off that track and get out of there before someone could stop it.
And looked like you guys got some pretty good skid steer guys that swooped right in and picked the front of that thing up and said, "You're not going anywhere." At that point, again, now we're going through tensions are high. But Robbie, what people really want to know is what was the conversation like? And did you keep the $2,000? Did you get paid the $2,000? What happened there? Who came up with the $2,000? Because Robbie, I mean, I'm seeing like all kinds of stuff all over the internet of what actually happened. Did you impound the van? Like what happened here?
So when it all went down, I was working on something else that we had going on behind the scenes with Andrew and I. So I didn't actually see the van hit the car. I heard it through the headset, and I come down there after they had already had the car picked up with the skids, or the front of the van picked up with the skid steer. And Joseph, the guy that hit it, I'm friends with him. I've sponsored him tons of parts for different derbies, and his sticker is actually on my golf cart. We hang out at Germantown every year at every derby. I support him in every way. So it was definitely a shock to me that's who that had did it, because I just never thought that would have happened. So I talked to him for a minute. I went back to doing finished up what I was trying to get done behind the scenes. We had a couple of things we were working on. And I was pulled in where the officers had him in a room, and me and him had a conversation. He wanted to know what I thought the damages was worth on the car. I told him I didn't know. Like the door, I don't know where I'm gonna find a 4-door 73 Chrysler Imperial door, because most of them are 2 doors and they're a crappy derby car in today's world. So like a lot of them are scrap material, and gone. So, we talked back and forth, and he's like, "Well, what about $2,000?" So I'm like, "You know what? That's fine. Go get me $2,000." Joseph's gone for a pretty significant time and comes back with $2,000 cash. I counted it out on the table to see if there was $2,000 cash there, and it was dead on. I handed it back to him with the skid steer key to give to my guys, and told him he could have his van back, and told him that he disrespected me and, everything that we were trying to do at the event. We had a conversation, and I just told him that he disrespected me, and that he knew what we were trying to do there with the enforcer car for the kids and for the show. And there's a lot of people in that facility that's never even seen a demolition derby, and that enforcer car is like the highlight of the thing, of the weekend. Even the people that work at the facility, that's all they want to talk about, is how that enforcer car was so cool, and the lawnmowers, of course, Andrew's favorite. But yeah, that's what happened. I did not take $2,000 from Joseph. I would not have taken $2,000 from Joseph. So that door's full of concrete, and it hit right at the rocker. So it busted some of that concrete at the bottom. It ain't about the car getting damaged. That car is sentimental. It's more about what we were trying to do at the show with the car. You know what I mean? Like as part of the show. That's why I made it clear in the driver's meeting, if you hit it back, you're going to pay for it, the damages. So,
yeah, real quick. Yep. Joseph, I saw one of his comments on here. He declined to come on or didn't answer. But he echoed what you said. He just said, he said that you said, "I want to see if you're a man of your word," and handed me the key to the skid steer and said, "Go get your van, Bubba." That's what was done. I've seen a bunch of rumors myself and mad about it. No, I was not No, mad about it. No, I was not trying to own. I'm just trying to own up to my mistakes. It was wrong for the enforcer car to be hit. Me considering I was hitting, just hitting. So it sounds like maybe he made a mistake. He didn't feel like he probably should have been hit with the enforcer car. Obviously, that's all subjective. But I think the bigger thing to talk about here, guys, is as a promoter and putting the money and risk out that you guys did, that we've certainly done on this side too. There seems to be some disconnect sometimes with the drivers and promoters on the entertainment that is absolutely 100% necessary. So like some way, somehow we are forgetting that we're entertainment, and the people who actually pay the bills, obviously besides what we eat, if it goes a bad show, is the fans. So how do we get that better, right? Like you have the enforcer and what you do. Other people have things that they do. How do you bridge that gap of having to provide entertainment for these fans? What's your thoughts?
Well, for me, I'll just tell you, like, I think it's going to be hard. I think the disconnection between just overall people in general these days, it's a different mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this younger generation, and I'll keep saying it, like, as far as their style of running is different. Um, I ain't saying they don't respect anybody because they do. I mean, obviously they have respect in our sport. However, you know what I'm saying? Like to put a show on to add stuff to it. I don't know that it takes a little bit of time for them to understand why we do what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like to add something to a show and try to like the older ones, like I'll give you an example, not just for the show side, like our beautiful mower guys, there was a few older gentlemen that were in the mower class. And I mean, like for them, they was like, hey, everybody wants to run. Let us help you do what we got to do for you to run. So I mean, it's a little bit different now. I mean, I think it's going to be tough to try to help them understand not just the business, but like it's a show, and us had to implement stuff so people and the fans can, you know what I'm saying, can enjoy it, and we need them to come back. I mean, we need them to truly come back and fill the seats so that
Well,
we can
as a
continue
sport,
to use that. I mean, we want to fill the seats because let's be honest here. This sport, you're not going to get rich off of it. I can you know what I'm saying? Like we all have other jobs. Like we do this in a sense so that we can give these people the big stage to run on and put a show out there and enjoy it. Like I told you all, Dustin, like I'm a firm believer in one and dones. It's time for families to be able to go run a car, not only have to fix it and go run. And if we keep losing sight of that and people not, you know what I'm saying, try to abide or get on board with the kind of show that a promoter's trying to do, then it's going to die out like that. I mean, that's what we don't want. I mean, we got a lot of young drivers out there that's really starting to get in the sport. However, a lot of older generations not there to take them under the wing for them to understand what we all probably went through in the past. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's all about respect and trying to get them on the same page. However, we have to also respect them younger ones. Them old threes and up. Old school guys. They want the old school cars, but these younger guys, they're all about them old threes and up, and it's all a total respect thing.
Andrew, you're like you're like my grandpa preaching at us now. I mean, you're killing me.
Hey, can I get an amen?
Hey man,
There we
Now,
go.
that was good. Seriously, Robbie, what do you think? I mean, how do you bridge that entertainment? Look, people love the enforcer, so like how you can't. I don't think you get rid of it. They loved it. What,
As
what do you?
far
What do
as
you
far
think?
as the entertainment side of it, Dustin, as you know, I've been doing demolition derby since 10, so pretty much my whole life. I think for the entertainment side, different sells, and that's why we brought back the enforcer. That's why we wanted to use the enforcer. Like I said earlier, as far as entertainment goes, it doesn't do me any good as a promoter to have my flagman go out there and break sticks off if I'm trying to entertain the crowd. If I can break a stick off, that takes another car out of competition. As far as entertainment goes, like it's our job to do the entertainment, and there's 1,000 ways to do it. You just got to figure out what works for your area and what works for the style cars that you have on the track.
You know, Robbie, you say that, and I'm sitting here in my mind comparing the two options. So
Right.
as a driver, I'm sitting in the seat, and I got a choice to take a little bump that's probably no harder than I'm going to get hit throughout the Derby, and I get to keep derbying from the enforcer, or I get my stick broke.
Right.
That's my two options.
Right.
I mean, I got to think I'm taking a little bump from the enforcer almost every time. You know, I don't want your stick broke. That means you're out of contention here. So
Right. Most of the times, like how we do it at our county fairs, is if you get hit with the enforcer, and then the next time your stick's getting broke off, like that, the enforcer is your last warning. You know, at this event, I was trying to let it go. You know, I wanted the entertainment to be there for the crowd. I don't want to be the guy that has to go out there and break those sticks off. It don't bother me to do it. We do it at every show. But
well, if you think about it, what's more entertaining for the crowd? Is it the enforcer lighting his lights up and going out there and somebody taking a bump, or is it going out and breaking somebody's stick?
Right. And when you break somebody's stick, you put yourself in that situation too, where now people can say you're controlling the Derby. You took him out because it's so-and-so, right? You go out there and you hit them and you bump them a little bit, they continue to go. It's up to them to pick it up or not, right? So just my opinion. That's why we use that enforcer the way we did at this event. That's why we also took lug nuts. We were trying to get people to pick it up, and if you didn't, we're going to weaken your car.
Now on that note, guys, I know there's a lot of rabbit holes that we can go down. Let's talk about how freaking successful this event was. Okay. How did you get so many people in the stands? All right. Because there was 5,000 people in the stands. All right. What's the secret here? How did you get people in the stands?
Over 5,000 people, and we don't know the exact number. We figure that out next week in a meeting that we got to go to. And I want to say that, you know, throw down TV and just people sharing it around got the word out. So,
you know, when we first come up, when we first got to, I know, you know, like around the barrel talk and stuff with Track Shot, you know, we just said, you know, like Robbie been trying to get this, and I ain't going in detail how we, you know, like we've been friends and stuff, but when we first talked about like this Derby, you know, when we put the Bourbon Beatdown name on it, and we were going to release, you know, we were going to release it out there when tickets were going to go on sale. I mean, let's be honest. People in the past that wanted to run Freedom Hall, yes, they had some hiccups. Hey, you know what? It happens. Like, I'm not talking bad about anybody's promoters or anything like that. Venues, sometimes there's different, you know, things that's out of your control, and there's things that are in your control. But, you know, like, people had a bad taste about Freedom Hall. You know, like we will say, when people found out that Krista Florian was coming to help or coming to oversee and build the track for us, and that we spent crazy money on, hey, the best dirt that you could buy, you know, like those songs says, buy dirt. I mean, I
put a number on it, Andrew. They want to know. Put a number on it. Tell them what the dirt cost us, what we put into it. Tell them.
I can tell you, we get $55,000 for the dirt that went in Freedom Hall.
Yes, we did, because we wanted that track was our number one investment.
Yeah, like you guys can sit here and be humble about this, but the things that you guys overcame, you just told the number out loud to public, okay?
Yeah.
What the dirt cost to haul in.
Yeah.
That was a major thing that held over your head. You guys check mark off the box.
Yep.
The next thing
we were ready to puke. You know, we knew in the past, you know, it wasn't true. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that number, you know, like at the end of the day, you're going to do what you have to do to get the trust of the people that you want to be there. And so what happened when we put it out there and tickets opened, 1,800 people tried to sign up for our event. 1,800.
280 spots.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, you sell out an event. Honestly, like from the outside looking in, I'm saying probably what everyone else is saying, and I'm saying you got too many cars on the track.
We know
But
so. So
some,
hey, we'll take the blame for that. Robbie and I both will take
That's a
the blame
great
for
problem to
that.
yeah,
have,
but
though.
That's a good
what?
problem.
Look,
Yep.
give me that problem. Can you just give me that
Right.
problem? Like too many cars on the track, I'll just take that problem every time. So
Hey, and the thing is, like for us, we was like, to, piggyback off it, it was the fact of, that not all 50 cars are going to show up. Okay. Well, guess what? Some of them didn't, but other classes, they all showed up.
yeah,
I mean,
well,
who
you
would have
you
thought
guys
that?
are out here solving issues that everyone else has. So you have that. Now the next thing I want to talk about is you got the track cleared off with 50 or 40 cars on the track or 35 cars on the track in probably the quickest time I ever seen. Okay. Up a ramp that's one way. So I mean, all right, check mark, got that off.
Hey, but
Um,
I have to give credit to Robbie about that. Like obviously I've been to several big shows as spectators. There were guys running and stuff. I mean, a lot of people's asked like, how in the world did y'all get like Toby Holly to come on board and just different things? And like a lot of people don't know that like Toby Holly and I have become good friends 20 plus years ago. And so like some of them guys right there that come in to help us, like that's how that we got them there. And like Robbie's biggest thing was like at the bigger shows, getting cars off the track. He's like, Andrew, we've got to have enough skid steers to get them off the track. And that was his biggest thing. So we went with a number that we thought we had to have. Hey, and Robbie put time down. He's like, this has to take about this much time and this much time. And then I'm a number cruncher. And so we went to writing, and I'm like, you're right. So we have to have this done in this amount of time. I don't know how it
well,
happened, but it worked. It
you
worked.
guys got it. You guys got that done. Then the next thing is you keep the entertainment up in the heats. So how? I mean, I don't know how you like. I don't know how you actually got all these things done. Okay, and accomplished them all, because Brian, you've been there. Robbie, Andrew, you guys have been there. You put more cars on the track. What does it mean? Slower pace. But it wasn't. Like that's the thing. You guys kept the pace up. Part of that's probably the enforcer. Part of that's just the people you had, and the commitment to running hard. It was really good. Like you
Yep.
checked that box off.
Yeah, I mean, and the venue
Hats
helps.
off.
I mean, I will
Hats off
always
to
go ahead.
hats off to the drivers. Like I can't go out there and make and give it gas for them. Hats off to the drivers that came to our show. I can't. We can talk and the talk and walk the walk and do all that, but when it comes down to it, we lean on the drivers to get the job done and put the show on for the fans.
And the
You know,
drivers came through. I
and
mean, they really
when
did.
we had some good drivers on that list, so, almost every one of them. I don't know everybody on there, but every heat had some kill shots. And like I said, I haven't actually sat down and watched the Derby yet. Just from what I was witnessing when I was on the sidelines here or there, and some videos I've seen on Facebook of some people, snapshots and whatnot. There were some good shots out there. A lot of good driving, and a lot of good hard hits.
Yeah, like these drivers is where it's all at. Like let's take Dale Colbert for example. Man had no luck. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets there, he was excited and all that. I'd listen to the podcast with him talking about getting to come back to Freedom Hall and run and everything. And I think in the middle of that podcast, his wife's like, "Hey, did you get tickets for us?" And I can remember like me and Robbie had like 6 trips to make to Louisville. I'm probably about an hour and 5 minutes from Freedom Hall, and I know Robbie's trip. He lives over in a dirt pig path, had to go around half a hillside to get there. But like in the middle of moving all those trailers, I'm like, I try to answer all the messages that are on our page, and I see Dale's wife had messaged said, "Hey, So my husband is running, but yet he just told me he didn't have tickets. What do I need to do? So in the middle of that moment, I'm like, I sent her my phone number. I'm like, just call me. And Robbie was on the other line. I'm like, you are not going to believe this. Yes, another one has not got their tickets yet. So like he come all the way down here, flywheel is busted and stuff, and he thought he was gonna get the run, couldn't find a flywheel, but at the end of the day, he come to us at the end of the show and said, "Hey, I know I didn't get the run this year, but man, the track's beautiful. The like even just the small stuff that we try to add to it, like Jason Sire and them, like they painted the logo, the concert we had, the barrels and all this other stuff, and Dale was like, "Hey, I will be back in
Hey,
2026."
don't forget your sparks, Andrew. Your Colts.
Hey,
Oh man,
what about them?
no, those are sweet. I'm stealing that.
Well,
Yeah,
hey, you better
yeah.
hope we
Thanks for
can
that.
find us some
Brian's
hard wire.
definitely spending money on that for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm spending Dustin's money on those things. I can bet your butt I am.
So
Yeah.
I think ultimately the venue matters. I mean, obviously, when the derbies first started there, it was eye catching.
I was sick starting out at this derby, guys, because I go to all these big derbies and the venue finally give us a date, and I was excited for the date. I didn't pay attention to the actual date, if that makes sense. As time went through and the negotiations with Freedom Hall went through, I started to realize that Capital City Carnage was on the same date and Mississippi was on the same date. Both derbies that I usually go to. Um, you know, So I was kind of stressing out over that. So, that was a problem. Um, so I told Andrew, I said, I don't know how many vendors we're going to get because, a lot of vendors are probably going to go to Capital City Carnage. And I wanted to have an option, and Andrew did too, for people coming to the show to pick up parts in our area. And how cool is it to have some big name vendors come into town and make it easy where they don't have to pay the shipping and stuff? They're going to have it right there. We were lucky enough to land 8 vendors, and we had them all set up there. And I swung around and had some chit chats with them, and they've reached back out to me for the ones I didn't. And it sounds like they did really good at the event. So that's another plus. Maybe
And
next
we
year.
apologize to them also. Like it wasn't a prime location for them, even though they was right there in the inspection line. But with the time frame that we have, like when you go to a state facility, and that's what it is. People don't understand. Like a private entity is a lot different than renting a state-owned fairgrounds in a
Absolutely.
sense that has probably 8 other events going on at the same time. The
Yep.
Beef Expo was going on. The Home Garden Show was going on in one wing. A cheer competition was going on in the other wing. So, with
Yeah.
all that into play, I know Robbie and I both, we was just like, man, we got to do something for the vendors. We did what we thought was best for them this year, but we promise next 2026 we will have a better spot for them to be there.
We're going to kill it for them. We've already got plans
It's
in doing that. So
it's interesting you mentioned the beef expo because we got there on Friday and right when we got out of the truck, we were starting to walk in. I turn around, there's a guy leading the steer in the parking lot right behind me, and I'm like, man, like all right.
You thought you was really the good. Hey, so here's the
it,
crazy thing. We'll tell you this too. There were several people that was at the Beef Expo that also was running
in the
in the
Derby.
derby.
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Yes.
It just
So
made me
that's
hungry.
what's
I had to go get a
crazy.
steak that night.
What's that?
I said it just made me hungry. We go to Longhorn that night and get a steak.
I mean,
So
it made you hungry, right?
we worked on getting that venue, or I did. I was working on getting that venue for almost 2 years before all of a sudden, just one day, I'm driving down the road and I get a phone call and it says Louisville, Kentucky. I'm like, here's a telemarketer, right? So I'm like, answer it, not answer it. So if I answer it, and they're like, hey, this is so and so with Freedom Hall, and I think we finally got you a date. So we took it. That's how we actually got the date. Once that happened, I made the call to Andrew, and I'm like, hey, Andrew,
You remember that conversation he said? I'm like, oh yeah.
I've got a date, bud. And he's like, okay. So that's how we actually got started. But we had some hoops we had to jump through to get this event going with Monster Jam. Made some friendships with Feld Motorsports, and We were actually put into a different venue. We were actually in the venue that the cattle or the beef expo was in.
Yeah, we were supposed to be in Broadbent.
Once they come in and set their date, that pushed us into Freedom Hall, which was better. We couldn't do Freedom Hall because of that monster truck contract. So once we got that figured out, that got us right into there. We did this for those drivers and the fans that was there. That's all this for 2 months of nonstop. What, Andrew? 18-hour days of meetings between you and I, and meetings with 4 or 5 times a week. I drive 2.5 hours to get to Louisville. That's 2.5 hours there, set to a 3 or 4 hour meeting, do a
I just know
walkthrough.
this. I got 3 daughters, my beautiful wife, and I'm gonna say this. Robbie and I talked every day, probably from the beginning to the end. Sometimes it was all the way up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And sometimes my wife would be like, "Hey, we have rooms downstairs in the basement. We got a spare bedroom upstairs. Can you all not talk at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll go somewhere else." Like, but there, like people don't understand, and I know you all do. Like the time it takes just trying to get this stuff together.
Yeah.
I don't. So
Certainly.
Tiffany, she probably thinks that she's like, I think you and Robbie have spent a lot more time together than we have in the last month and a half.
She's jealous.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
guys, that certainly happens. I'm sure we all deal with that.
Hey, let me say this too. Like, and when you start spending a lot of time with somebody, sometimes you do not agree on things. And so I made Robbie very clear. Listen, I do logistics and stuff for a living and all this stuff, and I have a guy that works for me full time and everything, but I don't like my own self, and I couldn't imagine working for me. I know it's rough. However, I made Robbie very clear. I said, "Hey, we're going to bump heads and we're going to disagree, and we may disagree quite a bit, but understand it's nothing personal. Business is business. But if we start agreeing on everything, we need to walk away." And I said, "I'm serious. Like, we need to walk away because if we can't disagree and work through things, or both of us bring something different that we have to try to work through to try to understand why you feel that way, then we're going to fail at this. Because anybody that agree, 2 people that agree 100%, they're obviously going to go down the same path, and that's not what we want."
I got a question for you guys, Dustin. Y'all been asking us a bunch of questions. What was
Yeah.
your all's feeling on the dirt berms there? I know you had them at Bristol and whatnot, and I've seen them a couple other places. What's your opinion on that? You like those better than concrete, or what's your opinion? What's your Brian's opinion?
Yeah, I mean, Brian and I have had enough conversations. I feel like I can confidently answer that, but we are in talks with insurance companies all the time, different insurance companies talking about the dirt berms, because we 100% think that this is a better way forward. And we think that it creates a cushion similar to a safer barrier in NASCAR around the outside wall, in which the cars grab, or the dirt grabs the cars. So 100%, we are, we're all in on that. We think, that the things, obviously, when we deal with what we dealt with 4 days at Bristol, Robbie, is a little bit different than what you guys dealt with that night. The cars are a little bit different. The action, I mean, is more spread out.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like our dirt berms for last year, just critiquing ours, they got to be higher and they got to be deeper. They got to be a flat ledge, almost like a plateau for 8 to 10 feet. We got to come in and straight cut those every single day. And look, I mean, I thought your guys as well as were great.
Well,
you have to go a second day. Obviously, you're going to be running into some problems there, but you didn't, so you didn't have to prepare for that. That's my opinion on it.
And for me, what with the concrete, typical concrete K rails, or Jersey barriers, whatever you call them, There are different names everywhere for them, but like just for example, last year at King of Ohio in 2024, we had the concrete walls. Those were all brand new walls that weekend when we put those in. And by the time that show got over with, every one of them was destroyed. And you can't put those back together on the fly. You can't repair them on the fly.
They fall into the track.
They fall. They turn into ramps. They turn into all kinds of different unpredictable structures. With dirt, if a dirt wall gets broke, if it gets tore up a little bit, guess what? You can fix it.
Yep,
you can fix it, and it's not going to cost you a dime to fix it. And
I asked that question because that was one thing I talked with my insurance company. At first, they wanted me to have concrete because everybody thinks concrete's hard. It's going to hold a car back, right? Once I explained it to them, they're like, we agree. Like, it's softer on the driver, less liability to get hurt. They're obviously not going to drive through it. The car's not going to go plowing through it and just blow the whole mound out. It might go up on it, but that's why you do like what was it, Andrew? Like a 5 foot, however wide a skid steer is, like 8 foot, whatever it is, where the car would belly. Yeah, the car would belly there. It would stop it. It'd be on the dry shaft and stuff, on the floor pans. So I asked that question because my insurance company was very, very happy with it. They were there Saturday. They liked a lot of things that they seen as far as the track and the organization and stuff like that. So the officials having on bright colored hoodies, and I think that's the way that a lot of promoters need to start going, and that's why I brought that up. With their insurance companies. So.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised the things that the insurance companies certain insurance companies anyway, will tell you. They'll say, what was it, Dustin? They wanted truck axles surrounding the track and logs and whatever else. And we're like, dude, this was like, they did this stuff 40 years ago, dude. Like, we don't do that stuff anymore. Like, you're behind. You're way behind.
With these bigger shows, Robbie and Andrew, we're well aware. Look, Freedom Hall, Bristol, wherever you're going, drawing more eyes on the sport means we have to be at the forefront of safety. I think, it's easy to critique and say this, that, this. You guys did so many things right. And when it comes to safety, when it comes to your wall crew, when it comes to communication, I mean, I still see, Robbie, I think you know this, we've talked, I still see derbies where guys on the wall don't even have stopwatches. Mm-hmm. You guys are sitting there having like mini cameras, like mini.
Yeah, Mike out there. Mike Decker had like a digital mini TV on his chest. It was so, I was like, where'd you get that? Amazon purchase?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I know tonight was hashing out some other things, but yeah, look, we got to talk about those too, because nobody ever wants to talk about all the BS. They just want to like go on Facebook. We felt like we did that. We allowed both sides. Obviously, people wanted to tune in and see it, but damn, you guys did a lot of things right. Like, and we should be beg, borrow, stealing ideas from each other all over. Look, I feel like you guys went through. There's like this indoctrination to be a promoter, and I think it's just like to get slandered on Facebook for a week. For some reason in the derby world, we gotta stop that stuff too. Like, everybody puts way too much time and effort into this to be going down that road.
So one thing that took me a lot of time, and Andrew a lot of time, that I wouldn't say it took us a lot of time because we didn't have a lot of time, but the one other thing other than the track that we put a lot of thought into was our inspection line. We wanted to get inspectors from different areas, so there's no favoritism. We tried to get them from multiple states to try to build a brotherhood with a bunch of guys. And as guys, we, going into a different subject, we keep a lot of stuff bottled up. And when there's a brotherhood there, you build a friendship there, that's good for us mentally. And you guys know what I'm saying. We put that team together, and I don't even know where everybody was exactly from. We had Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio, Wisconsin. Kentucky, Wisconsin. Like, we had people from everywhere. And those guys were out there. I went out and checked on them a couple of times. I told them I would stay out of the inspection line unless they needed me. We set it up where you had head inspectors and a president inspector, just like you guys do at demo. we tried to do that and put a lot of thought into that, and we didn't hear too much backlash from those guys. We haven't heard too much on the inspection line, and I'm not looking for hate on that. I'm just saying that was one thing that we put a lot of thought into, and we tried to pick those guys to build that brotherhood and to make sure that they all could work together. We even throwed a couple of our social media buddies in there to try to break up the monotony and to have fun and, and let those guys build a brotherhood with some guys that know how to inspect cars. And not saying that they don't, because Critter knows what he's doing. Obviously, Devin knows what he's doing. But those guys are also funny. They're not us normal derby guys where we're serious and, counting body bolts and looking for holes in the frames and all that. We try to think it through and build that brotherhood to where, people could have fun in that inspection line. So,
well, Robbie, on that note, you're probably one of the few people in the derby world that would have been able to pull the different demographics that you were able to pull. And I don't think that can be overlooked. I think you definitely have made friends in a lot of different circles, in a lot of different sectors of people going different directions with the sport.
Yep.
And, that's one of the first shows in a long time that I've seen pull a lot of different people from a lot of different sectors. And I think that was part of your success of the show.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you and Andrew for being able to pull that. I don't think that can be overlooked, And I think it gave, from our perspective, Brian, it gave us a chance to hang out with people that we normally don't.
Yeah, we had we had Throwdown there. We had Mafia TV there. We had Outlaw Edits there. And people are going to kill me if I forget. We had a lot of social media people there that are friends of mine that was there to help support us. And that goes a long way when that happens. You was talking about how many people we had in the stands and stuff. And Andrew and I didn't do that. Social media did. All of our friends did, right? That wasn't us. I don't know that many people to do that. I don't talk to that many people on a daily basis because I'm behind a welding helmet or doing, whatever, wide open. Our friends did that. Our derby family did that. And I can't say thank you enough to everybody because we're not going to make money at doing this. We're never going to probably make money at Freedom Hall because it is very expensive to have a demolition derby there. But it is the prime location for demolition derby. So
yeah, I can just say for me, I got a chance to talk to a lot of people that I've never met before. Wesley with Outlaw Edits. We had a good conversation. Really good guy.
Great guy.
Does really good work. Very impressed with his stuff.
Yeah.
And not only him, but we got a chance to hang out with with Fatty and Steve and Derek from Hard Nosed Derby podcast.
Hard Nosed,
Mike Dix was there and got a chance to hang out with him a little bit and talk. I think what this does is, we spend so much time on social media and in Facebook in this sport, and we develop these ideas of who people really are based on what somebody says about them in a post. And, we create this negative image sometimes of what somebody's about. Then you meet them in person, you get a chance to just shake their hand, look them in the eye and talk to them for a little bit. You're like, wow, I was wrong.
I thought you were an a-hole.
Anthony Wallace gave me a little Jesus to put in my pocket.
I got mine on me. Yep. I got mine in my pocket. Yep.
Yeah. We all need a little Jesus in our pocket, right? And Alex Vasco was there too. And
Alex,
great guy. I've known him for a long time. Just a really good, diverse group of very respectable people you had involved in that show. And that says a lot about you guys. It really does.
Yep. We were honored to have them all there.
And they did an exceptional well job. We really appreciate it. Hey, we appreciate everybody that stepped. Hey, even you all. You all didn't have to help at all, but people don't understand.
I enjoyed it. I had great. I had fun. I got to be a security officer again. That was great.
We're about to give you I don't know if we're gonna give you a badge and a baton or something, but
Yeah, we appreciate it more than you think because, guys, we get to see a different perspective and get to see and critique and feel what it's like. I felt the energy of the Enforcer when it started up. understood that the lawnmowers were pretty exciting. Those are things that you guys don't necessarily get to see because you got headsets on, you're talking, you're getting pulled 9 million directions. Um, like I we loved it. The invite, to come even be a presence, because we get that perspective and that's important.
Can we talk about Devin getting locked out on the balcony?
Hey, he's not the only one. But let's
You
talk
did
about
too?
Devin first.
Well, yeah, that was funny. That was the first. That was Friday night. We were down there having a good time, and Dustin and I go up to get to our room, and we're staying with Devin, and we knock on the door, and nobody answers. We had to go get security to open our hotel room up, and I walk in, and there's nobody in there. I'm like, well, where's Devin? And then I hear a knock on the balcony door. And I go out there, and Devin's been locked outside for hours.
He told me he was out there for 4 hours or something.
Hey, but tell us how cold it got.
It was
it was-
cold.
He
They said he was in his
looked like he was
underwear.
in pain. He was in pain.
Was he in his underwear?
Yeah, he said a
No,
bunch of kids were out there laughing at him and like running away. I'm like, well, I would too if some strange dude is
he
like,
wasn't
hey,
in his
come here,
underwear,
open
was
my
he?
door.
I was a little bit foggy at that moment, but I don't think he was in his underwear. If he was, I think he slept with Brian.
Hey, if he's in his underwear, I'm sure he had them shades on. I mean,
Oh,
he had
he
his
has them everywhere
sunglasses
again.
on.
He
Yeah.
sleeps with them.
So
But that was funny.
most definitely. Hey, no, like I will say this too. Like you all coming down, like we have to be. It's the big picture is we have to be in this together for this sport to continue to grow and be what we all want it to be. Like promoters being against promoters and all that kind of stuff. Like let's
Yeah.
it's not
And I'll
about
tell
that,
you,
Let's bring it back to what it used to be. Like, hey, we're doing Kentucky, we do Freedom Hall. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, there's other venues. You're at Bristol and King of Ohio and stuff. We want you to be successful as much as we want to, but we want everybody else to be successful that's involved in any of it.
yeah, and I can tell you, with demo starting and everything that we've gone through, we've received a lot of, hate, discontent,
Yeah.
skepticism on Facebook and everything. And I think there's, people are draw lines in the sand, unnecessarily, based on really nothing, and it holds us back, right? It holds us back from making the progress that we need to get this sport, collectively in a direction. That's the problem with Demolition Derby is it's never been bigger, it's never been more popular, but it's never been more fractured and just kind of chaotic in the way that it's ran outside. So I'm glad to have been able to come down there and help you guys out. I had a great time, and I appreciate all your hospitality and just for letting me be a part of the event and get to learn a few things that you guys do.
Thank you for helping
Most
us.
definitely, thank you. And as well as anything, if y'all need us to, come help, we'll be there.
We need you to run at demo too there, Andrew. I mean, I
Yeah.
hear
Hey,
you're a
listen.
wheelman.
Hey, listen to me. My wife's sitting beside me. If y'all want to go
Can
on
I
and tell
bring-
her, go on and tell her how many times I've signed up for demo that I have yet to make it.
This is the third straight year if he doesn't come. He's bought an entry every year. We were on
Well,
the
hey,
phone or we were
here's the thing,
chatting,
though.
whatever, and he's like, I think I bought an entry already. And I'll be damned. We checked and he's
You
like,
look
yep,
and you're like,
got
hey,
one.
I see you there.
What class would you run? What class do you run?
Street stock.
Straight
Street
stuff.
stock. Hey, listen. So
Now-
I would run street stock, but if you ask any of the guys that are around, like this area where I'm from, like Bash has always been a big one that I really want to run, but my goal has always been Frank the Tank class. Now listen to me. That was back maybe 10 years ago, whenever Bash started. How long ago has it been? Back in.
It's been like 20 years.
Yeah. So in the last 5 years, I have come to my realization that I want no part of that. Hey,
What
I
about
know
a
hey,
truck? Can I get you in a truck?
I'm out. Hey, it's like these mowers that we just put on at Freedom Hall. I'm out.
If you have Andrew run demo, I gotta bring the enforcer because we're gonna have to hit him. I'll just say
Well,
that.
hey, look, guys, at Demo 2 in Lima, it's called the full size Elite Light, but it's the street stock class. It's the same rule set. So,
And
they're
it
running
pays
for $20,000.
$20,000
$20,000. Yep.
So if
Can the head inspector drop out and run the show? Just asking for a friend.
if you wear that cop suit, that dog cop suit, that clutch hat on, maybe.
And we get to hit you with the enforcer.
You won't have to worry about that. I won't have nothing left.
Yeah, I may be on a Sunday cruise for a little while.
That's a
Hey,
given.
but listen, I am still old school. I'm a firm believer. If you hit the first car you hit, you finish.
That's right.
You don't skip around. If you hit a car, you finish it. And
Andrew, you haven't ran the format yet, brother. That's
exactly what we want you to do.
That's exactly the only way to win.
Explain the format for the people that are on here that don't know, because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, so how we run our shows is instead of avoiding contact like some demolition derbies turn into, we make you beat your competition. So, just as Robbie has the enforcer to speed things up and kept the pace at his show, we just put you in a situation where you have to beat cars. So when you come run our show and you're running a singles event, you're going to be in a pod. We'll call them a pod of 3. And in that pod of 3, you're going to get your pillars painted. You're also not going to know who you're running against until you're about to pull on the track. Okay. So we do the draws right there live. You have no idea who you're running against and who you have to beat. So we draw 3 out. We paint their pillars that say red. Then we can do this in 3, 6, 9, 12, and up to 15 on the track. So essentially, you could have 5 groups of or 5 pods of 3 on the track. The only way to make the feature is to beat the other 2 cars. So it doesn't matter what else is going on the track. It doesn't matter if your buddy's got another color. It doesn't matter anything. The only cars that you're worried about are the other 2 cars that are your color. So let's call them red, right? And let's say, for the sake of this conversation, Brian, Andrew, and Robbie drew red. There's only one winner coming out of there, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter if you get it over with in 2 seconds or if it takes an hour. There is one winner coming out of those 3, and that's it. So it really tests you. It tests your mental fortitude of how well you can keep your composure pulling onto the track or when you're going to be drawn. It tests your ability, your bladder ability, because everyone's got to take a leak before they go on the track, and you don't know when you're going to get drawn if you're anything like me. But most importantly, there are winners and losers. And when you come to our event, you will have a record when you walk away from the event that you may be proud of, maybe you're not so proud of because you didn't have a great weekend. And it's something for us to talk about. There's winners win and they find a way to win, and that's what we do here.
It makes for very good action. Very good action.
Yeah,
so
I may get hung up on the colors on the pillars. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well,
I'm
if
so
you think about
hey,
it,
listen to me. I've got ADHD so bad. Elemental P, QRS is whatever you want to call it. I would be seeing colors on the pillars, and then I'd be like, "Well, they didn't paint that right," or "That has a run in it." Like I would probably just get smoked.
Andrew, we've had people that claim they were colorblind.
Everybody's colorblind. Yeah, everybody's colorblind
Shoot.
all of a sudden.
Yeah, we've had people claim they're colorblind, and then after that one car hits you, and then that other car hits you one time, you pretty much know who your
it's
colors
easy
are.
to figure it out.
Yeah, you got it figured out.
You think it'd still motivate me, Robbie?
Let's
Probably
get to
not.
working on it.
Get a car building, Andrew. We need you on that track.
He's got one half
What are you
built.
talking about? I got one almost built. That
All right. Well, then now you're talking
Hey,
yourself into it.
He's been working on it for 2 years.
2 years ago.
He signed up 2 years ago.
Go out and win that 20 grand, and now you got money for next year's Bourbon Beatdown at Freedom Hall, right?
Right?
Yeah,
You got
do
money
that,
in your
Andrew.
pocket already.
He can do that, Andrew. Hey, well, I can tell you, it's definitely gonna be bigger next year for sure.
Good deal.
So
You come up here and run, I'll return the favor. I will run Freedom Hall 2026.
all right, it's a deal.
Yeah, dude, I will. Brian, do you got any kahunas?
I got plenty. I'm a truck guy. Trust me.
See, We'll have maybe we can get Brian in a car too. I'll come run.
We'll build him
Hey,
an El Camino
hey,
for the
we'll
cars.
build him. Hey, Brian, we'll get you a mower built.
No, that's where I draw the line. Those
I
guys
thought
are
you had a
nuts.
set.
I
Hey,
never seen dudes fly so high in the air off a lawn. I mean, I don't even want to go mow my own yard now. I mean,
hey,
I'm afraid
Brian,
to even
listen.
get my own lawnmower.
I got it figured out. You know what you got to have?
What?
Tell him, Robbie. Tell him
A
what you
John,
got to have.
a John Deere 240.
Hey, if we've learned
Might get on
anything,
marketplace here.
that's all we've heard about.
It's
Is
a
a
full
John
frame. It's a
Deere
full frame
240.
mower, from my understanding, and it's got a big transaxle in it. So some of them are PTO driven. Don't kill me if I don't know what I'm talking about, but supposedly
Fatty
that's
and
like
them,
a mower to have. So we're learning.
Fatty and
Man.
them says they would buy them all up and just put them away, just so nobody else could have them.
We need to have those. We need to have those mowers at Bristol, dude.
You want me to be over top of it for you?
Yeah, I want you in charge of them for
Hey,
sure.
well, I can tell you, they know when they only got about 30 minutes to get the cutting and do the driver's meeting all at once. They'll be there, won't they, Robbie?
They pulled it off. They killed it at our show. I ain't seen a mower. I've never seen a lawnmower hit that hard at that speed and then go that twice as fast in reverse across the track, getting pushed. I don't know how
Yeah.
he kept it on all fours going that
I have
fast in
no
reverse.
clue.
The mowers did exactly what every class should be proud of doing, and that is
Yes.
literally be the talk of the show. Look
When I looked up in the stands, there wasn't a person I didn't see standing up. Like, it was crazy.
Hey, if you can get the dust off of Mike Decker to get excited about something, you've done something. I'm just saying, we brought him out of the dinosaur days, and hey, he
I
was
don't know.
excited.
I was speechless. I was seeing it on the side there. I'm like, what am I watching right now? This is crazy. Like, this is crazy.
So
Yeah, here you go. Is this really true? Seeger had one that revs 9,000 RPMs. Like
They had so yeah, some of those
some of them, they're nasty.
some of those twin cylinder motors that were on them mowers out there on that at that derby looked like racing lawnmower motors. The carburetor on that one looked like bigger than what I've had on small block Chevy engines back in the day.
now, you got to give credit where credit's due. Them boys showed up and showed out. I mean,
It was great. Like,
Hey,
I couldn't believe it.
gotta
I've never
read
seen a
this real
lawnmower derby
quick.
like that in my life. So
Hey, Dustin, read that message down there from Jacob Gray.
Jacob Gray. Andrew telling us mower guys that 99% he won't have us back unless we put on a good show. And that is the reason we all went wild. Well,
I can confirm that. I
you
heard
can
him
go
say
on
that.
tell them. Hey, you can tell them they'll have their chance again.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure what day, but they will definitely have their chance again.
facts. We've already talked about it. They're coming back.
Yes.
Pete's settling for second at Freedom Hall in 2026, it looks like.
Who's getting first?
He ain't beating me, I can tell you that.
Hey, well, listen.
Put me in the enforcer and I'll make sure he don't win.
I'm going to have Pete build us, since we all know how Pete Hansen likes to build. We're going to have him build us an enforcer mower.
No, we're not.
It'd be
No,
an
we're not.
8,000-pound enforcer mower. What it'll be.
No, we're not. We're not going that fast trying to chase them down. No, we're not.
Hey,
No,
I'm not getting on.
That'll have a red line engine in it, and that'll be ridiculous. Dang it now.
Hey, Pete, can you get us a mower engine built by them, please?
he probably can.
If he can get it done, hey,
don't
may
tell
be
him
their
to do
prize.
it. He'll do it.
That may be their prize.
That would be pretty cool.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Hey, I will say this real quick. Hey, we have to mention our Southern Kentucky distillery, man. They really, we lost our distillery. We lost them a week before the.
Well, week before the Derby. Yep.
Hey, and I'll tell you, it was logistics was the whole issue with the levies and when you start using alcohol and like that kind of stuff, things change and like what's allowed, not allowed, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like Junior and them, they really Junior Seathway, they really come through for us, with everything. I mean, hey, the signature bottle that has the Bourbon Beatdown logo on it and everything, Barrel Select. I mean,
Yeah.
it really was nice, like I will tell you, like those bottles with the way that kind of some of the sales that was set up that they couldn't ship to some states and some people had to come pick them up. They that will be going back on sale here soon, because they're able to ship to some other states here in the next 30 days. So we made a deal with them, that people would get the same deal, that they were able to get at Freedom Hall, so that people can still get those because we only had so many of them. I'll have to get with him to see how many are still left that they're able to purchase out of those Barrel Select. But it's definitely going to be a collector's item now, and it will be from each year after.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
guys,
Yeah, we
if you didn't catch that, that's Southern Kentucky Distillery.
SKD is their logo. It's a big white logo with SKD on it.
Yep.
We got Dustin and I got a chance to talk with those guys. We talked to them for like a half hour, I think.
Yep.
We're there.
We're
really
talking about doing a really cool whiskey bottle next year, and it's in the works. We're hoping that we can pull it off. Don't know what it'll cost, but it'd be something cool for all the Derby drivers to collect and have. Obviously, this year a week before the Derby, Andrew pulled that off on his own and got that landed for everybody, and he drove 4 hours or whatever to them and picked up whiskey barrels and shook hands and made a quick video for Throwdown TV. And I mean, a lot of work happened in a week to land that for them and for us. Next year we got a whole year to plan. So it's going to be a really cool collector bottle is what we're planning through them for the Throwdown. So, and for Bourbon Beatdown. So.
And guys, I can't stress enough that when people come in and take a look at our sport, no matter who they're with, but if they're coming from the outside to take a look at our sport, let's make sure we treat them well. Take care of them. If you are, buying bourbon or you're buying, alcohol, they sell different stuff. I know they sell like moonshine and stuff too, but like, hey, like take a look at these guys. Because it matters, and we want outside people to come take a look in our sport, whether it's you guys benefiting somebody else, it doesn't matter. It benefits us as a whole.
Yeah, we want to try to, go about it a little different. Usually you take motors and all this. We try to look at certain kind of sponsors and stuff like that. But, like we're trying to go outside the box so that, like families can get involved with some of these sponsors that they're able to see something that us guys are really not really into or whatever. So, hey, we have some other things working on that too with some other sponsors. So, like, yeah, we definitely need to show them love, or anybody that does come on board with any, like your all stuff, like we all need to really look at that stuff and just thank them also.
Yeah, Brian's got this pulled up. If you're not a drinker, hey, you're not a drinker, but you guys got some pretty cool stuff.
Hey, how good is that green moonshine there, Dustin?
I tried all of them. You had me try like 8, I don't know, the whole box. The green one was good.
It's so good. It's so good. I didn't see it till Saturday about 4:00.
It's so good. It's so good. It tasted like the red one, the purple, and the orange.
Why you keep bringing that green one up, Andrew? Because I want a drink of it.
Yes, but hey, but what the crazy thing is that Robbie or I, neither one of us drink. So it's kind of comical, like everybody's like, "Oh, we gotta get a shot," and we're like, "Okay, here, we'll pour you one." Well, you don't want one? No, we don't want one. But hey, you enjoy ours too.
So how we come up with the name is we were trying to do something with the state of Kentucky in our area. We explored the horse scene, right? Trying to come up with a name that doesn't fit with Derby cars. Then we started with Louisville Sluggers. We was thinking something with the slugger, right, to try to tie that in. Really couldn't figure out anything there. So then we started thinking about, Kentucky in our area, especially where the Derby is well known for bourbon. That's how we come up with the Bourbon Beatdown. And we had that name in the very beginning, and we're like, nah, it sounds like a drunk fight. Even Kara, my girlfriend, said that. She's a school teacher, and so is Andrew's wife.
Girlfriend? Oh.
And they're like, no, Kara's like, that sounds like a drunk fight. I don't think I'd go with that. So we come up with 1,000 names for it. And then we're like, you know what? Bourbon Beatdown sounds the best. So that's what we went with. That's
It
how
worked,
we come
man.
up with the name.
It worked.
And, you know, Southern Kentucky came on board and killed it for us. You
And
know,
at Southern Kentucky, like some of them, they reached out at the very beginning
yep.
when they seen the name of it. It's like, hey, would you be interested in bringing
But
on?
we were already working with somebody
We
else.
was working with another one, but Junior Cecil and his brother, you know, they derby. That's
Yep,
what
they
was
derby.
kind of
Yep.
crazy. And so when I talked to them, like they called me back the next day and they was like, "Oh, we're all in
Yep.
now."
It was cool talking derby talk with those guys, knowing what they do. Like they're not like me. You know what I mean? I don't mean that negatively, but you wouldn't think you'd be standing there talking derby talk with them. Like even after the derby, he's like, I seen a fan blade fly off and I seen this and that. And you're like, derby talk is so cool to know that they're backing you and they understand demolition derby. It was awesome to have them on board for us. So
Hey, and Dustin, you know, sometimes too, you know, like a lot of people think you get a sponsor, they giving you $20,000, $30,000.
no,
Hey,
no.
when
Yeah.
somebody lands something like that, they've hit a grand slam because that's not the
Yeah.
way it works. You
Some
know,
some
like
people some people
They
think walk into the local McDonald's and ask for 20 grand and they're gonna give it to you.
they took
Yeah.
care of our drivers.
works.
They took
Hey.
care of our drivers on a very short notice, and they give us you know, some stuff for people to taste test and for us to have fun with, and some gifts for us to give away. They took care of us last
They
minute,
did.
like
And
unbelievable
so
guys.
for
Like
we want them to grow as we grow, and I'm gonna tell you, like it's mine and Robbie's, you know, goal to get their product everywhere we can help get that to for them.
yep,
Yeah,
agree.
guys, on that note, there's a common misconception with sponsorship and people, because I know you guys get hit up for it all the time, so do I. And as we're hitting other people up, right? But the common misconception with sponsorship is these guys that we're trying to get sponsored by are smart enough to make millions of dollars, but then dumb enough to just give it away. Like that's just they don't do that, right? If they're going to sponsor you, it's called ROI. There's going to be a return on investment. So if they
Yep.
give you 100,000, it better be worth about $200,000 of
Right.
investment. So
Hey, and it better be a year in advance. Like that's what people don't understand. They think, oh, I can go get it now. No, like that we got told no on several things because I mean, you know as well as I do, probably 90% of sponsorships you have to submit a year in advance. You know, like you're already on people's budget. Budgets are already done for companies a year in advance. So if you've not made it on there, like, or you try to do something as quick as we did, you really don't have a. You got about a 10% chance, maybe 3% chance that they'll even talk to you.
oh, it's so different than what everyone thinks. I mean, and we've done pretty well getting people from the outside of the derby world in,
Yep.
whether it's VP Garage Beer, Driven Racing Oil, Low Car. I mean, there's a number of. Am I missing any?
A
Brian?
simple solution. Yeah.
Simple Solutions always been a been a sponsor.
I'm just a little peon down there. I get it. I get it.
No, I'm talking from outside of the derby world, but
I'm
like
kidding,
it
Bob.
takes time,
I was
guys.
joking.
It
Yeah.
takes time. It takes patience, and like you said, like
Well,
people do
PRI
not
custom coolers are
Yep.
PRI. Oh yeah, PRI
yeah.
custom coolers. That like they were huge for us last year. Now in return, when these like I'll say it again, when these guys come in, you've got to appreciate them. You've got to buy from them. Like it means something. Like you can't just not buy their product. Um, Amber Key. Here's my 12-month advance of sponsors and shares of sponsors. That's really how it works. It's really how true business works. So,
And a lot of times you trade off. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you're trading off for things. So, you know, like, hey, I do think about like Fatty and them with Track Shot Live, Throw Down TV. You know, they pushed us hard. You know, like it was going to be their first, pay-per-view and stuff. And, like they really, I feel like in a sense, they really pushed our stuff out there for us, the same as we felt like we needed to put on the best show that we could to help get them up and going with their pay-per-views and stuff like that. So, I mean, a lot of times, a lot of monetary things are not switched
We
hands, but
and
other things are.
we had some major struggles there with Throwdown, that people don't see behind the scenes of figuring out different issues here or there and learning curves for both of us. And it's completely different going from a fairgrounds to a big venue like that and having all those little gadgets that you can play with and getting the right people in the places to make it happen. The fans come in and they see those logos on those screens and they see all that. They don't realize that it takes 2 or 3 people to work all that, and you got to have the stuff formatted and sized and pixelated, and it is a ton of work that
Hey,
nobody
Dustin,
gets to see. So
I will tell on myself 100% right here. What day was it, Robbie? Friday or Thursday? When I
PRI,
had,
baby.
huh?
I
Oh,
said
yeah.
PRI.
That's
Oh, yeah.
right.
Some of our
Well, I
coolers
guess it
are
was
actually
either
on.
Thursday or Friday. I'm like, Robbie. And then Megan with the event, she's like, Andrew, you have got to get me the formats and stuff for all
Yep.
these logos and all this stuff. And I just said, Robbie, I don't have time with everything else. I said, I'm calling the guy that, like, I have a guy that does the monitoring of my computer systems and stuff for my
Yeah.
company, my girls, everything. Hey, I said, hey, I need you to log into my computer. I've opened up 2 emails. I can't even, I'm so scatterbrained right now. I need you to find all my media stuff that's for the Bourbon Beatdown, put them in a file, send them. And he did. I mean, Robbie's like, he's like, you're crazy. I'm like, hey, you don't, I had to do it. Like, people don't realize how much time that takes. And when it's over your head on that kind of stuff with these kind of venues, like, that's out of our wheelhouse. Like, that's why people are put in place to do certain things.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I see. We missed a couple PRI. We wanted to give them a shout out.
Yeah,
We
go
got to
ahead.
get better at this too.
Oh, that's a good
Hoist,
drink. Hoist.
Yeah,
Hoist killed
geez,
it.
oh, Pete, those things are those were really good.
They
Everybody
kept
had those.
they kept me hydrated at Bristol for sure because it was
Oh, yeah.
hot. It was hot
Hot,
on that
hot.
track, all the running around and all that. If you guys remember right, I didn't eat all day and I was starting to get sick there at the end. Those things kept me moving for sure, kept me up and going.
Yeah, and these guys are going to be back with us this year. Brian,
Delicious.
I think they supplied. I mean, you guys look at the prices here, okay? So just see the value that we got from Hoist. They supplied like 12, maybe 1,500 bottles of Hoist. I mean, we had an entire
We
thing.
were out before the last day of demo 1. I ended up being able to give away a few bottles to some fans, and they thumbs up. They gave their approval. Drivers all loved them.
I took
Really
some
good stuff,
pictures.
man.
I took some pictures. We all 3 of us took some pictures together drinking one. I don't know if you remember that, Brian and Dustin, but
Mhm.
it was, they were enjoying them. They asked me for some out of the cooler we had there on the sidelines. They were on the fence. I'm like, absolutely, taste these.
You know what's really cool behind the scenes, and I know we got to wrap this up just because we've been on here, but behind the scenes, it's really cool to have conversations with companies like this and kind of share the vision of each company and the direction you want to go, and then grow together. I mean, it's cool to see them like get the next step, get their stuff in Meyer and Kroger and all this stuff, and then they're posting gas stations and corporate gas stations that they're in, right? And it's like almost it feels like you're winning too, right? Because you were with them before that. No different than garage beer. I mean, when we mentioned garage beer, nobody even knew garage beer. Now you got Taylor Swift having a garage beer in front of her, because Kelsey is, obviously part owner. So it's just really cool to see everything grow. Hopefully someday we get to tell these stories on bigger podcasts,
Yeah.
and different platforms and say, hey, look, we were with them then. And this is when this happened. This is when, the first Bourbon Beatdown. Here it is, and this is all the chaos that went behind the scenes.
Right.
It's really cool, man. I mean, when you think about it all.
Hey, Dustin, I guess one way to do it is tell everybody Taylor Swift's coming to demo too. You'll sell out.
That might keep some people away. I don't want to do that.
Hey,
That's what I was thinking. I ain't going.
hey,
I
listen, it
wouldn't
may
go.
keep a lot of us
I ain't a
away, but
Swiftie.
there won't be a seat in the. You wouldn't even be able to pull into the grounds.
Hoist is delicious.
Yeah, Hoist
So-
was awesome, and guys, the people there were even better. So,
And they're a military supporting company, and that's near and dear to my heart. So as a veteran myself, so get out there and
most
find
definitely.
you guys can get on there. Like, you don't have to wait for our demo events to drink Hoist again. Like, get on there and order some. Like, it does mean something, But you can get on here, you can get on Amazon, you can order that stuff. But guys, let's wrap it up.
Yep.
I think tonight was, it wasn't about like trying to change people's opinions, but rather just let people form their own opinions. And I
Yeah,
hope that,
I've seen all kinds of gossip on there. People saying that, there was assault charges and there was this and that. It's just nothing like that ever happened. Nothing like that was ever discussed. I appreciate you doing this podcast and having us on here and talking about it, because a lot of stuff gets out of hand when there's just gossip, right? People just stirring the pot. So I appreciate you guys doing this, and I appreciate you guys coming to the show, and we appreciate the drivers and the fans on our end. So
Hey, and we appreciate what's his name coming on here, to tell his side, like, hey, if you don't ever know it, you can't ever get through it. So, hey, hats off to him. He could have said, no, I don't want to, I'm out. And he didn't. He chose to, face it. And, that's a good thing. Obviously, you can move forward, and we'll try to adjust some things, and it's a good ground to grow on, and we'll move forward.
yeah, well,
And-
guys, you had about 300 people watching live. It probably grew beyond that at one point. That's it sounds like people wanted to tune in. So,
And
pretty
and then
impressive.
one thing I really take away from this and this past weekend, and Robbie and I've known Robbie a little bit longer, obviously, than you, Andrew. But what it proves to me is that it's possible for promoters and organizations to work together in this sport to do good things. And that's what everybody thinks is it's got to be a competition. We got to spread hate and discontent. And it's absolutely not true. And that proves to me is that I can go in there with a demo hat on and a Twisted Metal Motorsports sweatshirt and be just as proud of both things that I'm wearing, rather than just taking a side and drawing a line in the sand. So thank you guys for showing me that it's possible to do so. And it gives me hope going forward that we can bring more promoters into the fold and work together more so in the future at all kinds of events everywhere.
Most definitely. Well, we appreciate it. And again, thank you all for coming down and, be a part of it. So,
All right, well, we'll end it on that. And I'll end this stream now. Thanks everybody for tuning
all right,
in.
thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys.
You
yeah.
too. See ya.